Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063 The Game, and the Game Nashville app. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. And we are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Happy Friday on day one of Rookie Minicamp Friday. We'll catch up with Chris Mason in 30 minutes, since it has been across this station a heated couple of days in terms of the future of the goaltending position. So interested to hear C-Mace's position on that. We're still living in the old ages. No text line.
None whatsoever.
Got to do messages in a bottle.
Got to do messages in a bottle. Morse code.
We've got dial-up internet to go along with it.
I think I even saw somebody at a payphone. Trying to call here. Yeah.
Somebody with a flip phone?
No, they were calling from an actual payphone.
Did you give them 25 cents before you came in, D-Mase?
I think it's like 35 cents now.
Dang, they went up.
Yeah, everything goes up nowadays.
Inflation even hits the payphone.
Toss them an extra $1, D-Mase, and give them an extra minute.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. But yeah, it's a great day, Friday, warm. No rain is in the forecast. Hopefully there's not. And I saw, speaking of baseball, even though no one was speaking of baseball.
I guess we are now.
But we
now
are
we
now.
can speak
yeah,
about
speaking
baseball.
Of baseball. I saw the Vols, their entourage or their caravan or whatever they want to call it, their buses, it's right around the corner from me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. The last 2 days, their bus has just been sitting there. Because I know you mentioned over text.
Are they staying over by you?
I know you mentioned over text the series they have this weekend. Yeah.
Number one coming to town.
Exactly.
Take on the Commodores.
Tennessee. Yeah, they're right. They're right there in the neighborhood.
Fancy.
Chilling. Absolutely,
Big
man.
weekend.
I started to harass them. I really did. I wanted
you
to
whistle
stop
at
it.
them?
I wanted to stop it, but I didn't have anything Vandy, so.
Derek's just going to be like the satellite Vandy whistler.
Exactly.
He's going to be peeking into the Tennessee
I'm on the
baseball
road.
players' hotel room and just, I can't whistle, so.
I wanted to
All
roll my
night
window
long.
down and wave something Vandy, but I looked at my car, I'm like, damn, I don't have anything. So let me keep going. I was going to troll them for Vandy's sake, But yeah, so that's.
Sure really appreciates you holding down the
There you go.
Commodore fort.
Billy, you want me to tell you where they're staying? I tell you. So you can know after
the
work.
phony fire alarm
Yeah,
on 'em
exactly.
in the middle of the night.
What you could do is take a pair of scissors and cut the tape that's on their hotel room doors.
Exactly.
Make it look like they snuck out at night so they all get in trouble. Do they still do the tape on the doors these days, or is that like an
I don't know.
early 2000s kind of thing?
I do know that occasionally somebody still will. It's like an old hockey tradition. You pull the fire alarm to make sure everybody wakes up in the middle of the night, the night before a big game. You ever have that happen to you?
Yes, we had that happen to us in New England. Absolutely, we had
that one
happen
up for
to
you,
us.
didn't I?
That never happens in professional sports, Willie. Never.
Who would do such a
Who
thing?
Who would stoop that low and do something like that
Me?
the night before
No.
a big game against a foe? Against a team that you want to beat to advance to the AFC Championship game? Nobody would ever do that, Willie.
What? You're
Nobody care about
crazy.
sports that much. There's no rabbit
Certainly
sport
not
fans.
professional athletes.
Exactly, and especially. Come on, Willie.
Pish posh. And we're looking to ask D-Mase next hour, so you can get those questions in for D-Mase. Cannot text them in, but you can send them in on our YouTube chat. So check us out on the streaming channels on YouTube, 1025 The Game. You can call in, 615-737-1025. We'll also hear from Brian Callahan. It's day one of rookie minicamp. We heard from Brian Callahan yesterday, and he made some comments that I do want to get into, regarding the rookie class, what to expect from rookie minicamp, and also a lot of comments about Will Levis and Traylon Burks. We'll get into those all show long. Now, normally, we do not get to phone calls 5 minutes into the show. But I do see on our screen that Adam in Portland is calling in to defend me.
Oh.
So we'll go to a call if it's going to defend me.
Just moving them up, moving up the chain.
My knight in shining armor, Adam in Portland, is on the line. Phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. What's up, Adam?
Well, I got to keep it fair. Like, I've been critical of you through the years because I feel like when you come on, Jared was like, it's my prodigy hire. And I'm like, I'm going to be just as, fair to her as I have. But usually, like this right here.
Whoa, hold on.
You're Jared Little.
And I am a radio host in and of myself as an independent individual.
Yes, we got another name.
Let's put that out there first and foremost.
Jared Jr., Caroline
I'm
Stillman.
not calling you Geroline. I mean, I have called
Oh,
you
that's a
Geroline.
good one. Thank you, Adam. Geroline. Yes.
Yeah,
Or
no,
you can. You are more than welcome to call me by my name. We'll also accept that.
I know you didn't like that. I wouldn't like that either. All right, so look, I think you're absolutely right about the Soros thing. If we got, and I'm not even a big wrestling fan, but Willy and D-Mase, do y'all remember in the 90s when it was the NWO come out and Hulk Hogan come out like he was going to defend Macho Man, but he joins the NWO, just start stomping on him? That's what I feel like y'all are doing to Caroline. She's Macho Man and y'all are stomping on her, and you shouldn't be. Like, Soros is the one good thing we have. Like, we traded everything else. We're broke. Like, he's the last piece, man. And so I know we like to live in the past, 2017, whatever, but, like, I would dangle that out in front of 31 teams and be like, hey, what's your best offer, man? Like, we got another goalie over here. I know he's not as good. Nobody's saying he's as good, but you got to give a little to get a little. And I would dangle my pretty prize piece out in front of every single person and take the best offer, man. I hope that's what they do. I hope it's all posturing with him being like, that's top priority. We're getting him signed. I hope not, man. I want extra scoring, extra offense.
Hey,
and
Adam.
you can say, and this is the last point, though. Look, D-Mase. Y'all can say they're 10th in scoring. I get that. But take away the 18-game streak and how anemic was our scoring.
Take away a quarter of the season?
Yeah, you can't take away a quarter. That's a big part of the season. You can't take it away.
I know, but you got to think about it, though, man. Like, whenever I said that was a lot of that was dopamine, man. That was all phony. That was phony goals. That was a phony – like, after the streak, then what do you have, man? So that's kind of where I'm at, man. I just
okay, quickly, Adam.
I couldn't get there yesterday.
I don't
Adam.
think Caroline's excited about your take.
She's not, because you called her Geroline, which is good. It's great. We're going to use it.
Adam, I called you my knight in shining armor, and about
then you
30
hit it with the
seconds later, I
Geroline.
swallowed my words.
But, okay, Adam, you say take any deal that is offered. What if they just offer you a prospect or two? And what if that's not enough? Now you've put this out here that my goalie is for sale, but nobody really wants him. How do you think your goalie feels now when he has to remain on your team?
No, well, I don't care about that because he's a pro, man. Like, I'm not trying
But
to.
no. You gotta care. No,
I
Adam.
love
You
him.
gotta care about that because it's a working environment. So you have to care about that. You can't take one of your prized players, probably your second or third most important player. You can't take him and then dangle him out there in front of everybody and tell him we're taking whatever you're offering. But then if they do offer something too low, you say, well, no, we're not going to take that. We're just going to wait on it. What if nobody ever comes with that offer that you want? Now you've essentially told your second or third most important player on the team, because he is, that, you know what, we really don't want you. People just didn't offer enough, but you're here just because they didn't offer enough. Not because we want you, but because the next team didn't offer enough. How do you think the working environment is going to be for UC Soros?
If you were on the Titans and I was like, hey, Baltimore, whoever, like, do y'all want this guy or not?
I'll be pissed
I'll
off.
come to you and go, hey, you're the only thing I've got that's valuable.
You can't do
man.
that.
I've got to try.
No. You can't. You can do. You can say I gotta try, but there's a decorum about this. There's a way you go about this. You don't just openly, as open book as Barry has been. Barry's not stupid either. He's not stupid and dumb and just going to say, hey, listen, UC, we're taking whatever we can get for you, and then nobody offers anything, and he say, UC, well, you can stay on our team. We really don't want you because nobody offered what we wanted. We really don't want you, but you can be our goalie. How do you think that make you? How do you think that make everybody in
the? My word, man. I promise you, I don't want to take a 6th-round pick for him.
But you said anything. No. I'm going by your words. You said anything,
and then I'll make an educated decision. Like I promise you know more about this than me, but I will say that. Like,
no, not really.
If that's the only thing I've got that's worth anything, I'm going to see what I can get for him. You don't have to do it, but at least put it out there.
But don't we all think that Barry is doing his due diligence when it comes to this team, whether it be UC Soros.
Thanks for your call, Adam.
Thank you, Adam. Whether it's Roman Yossi, whether it's Glass, whether it's Novak, anybody. Don't you think he's doing his due diligence to try to make this team better? But he's not going to do it recklessly. Meaning, okay, I'm gonna put a bulletin board out there for everybody. Hey, UC is for sale. What you offering? What you offering? Because you got to show some type of, UC knows it's a business, but you got to show some type of decorum, don't you?
That was also the point that I made whenever we had a ton of people texting in when the text line worked. The good old days. When people texting in about, well, just offer him a 2-year deal. Mm-hmm. No, we're not going to disrespect
exactly.
UC Soros.
That's what I'm saying.
For what he has done for this team, what he means to this team, what he's done for the locker room. And clearly, we heard Barry Trotz. He wants him back. Mm-hmm. UC Soros wants to be back. He's not going to slap UC Soros in the face and say, anyone, 6th-round pick, 7th-round pick? Like, you're not going to do that. That's bad business, and that's bad GMing. Especially from Barry Trotz, who does kind of feel to me kind of like a player's GM. Because he's been there. He's been in the trenches with players. He's been a coach. He knows how that feels. So you're not going to just sell off UC Soros for nothing just because you want to get rid of him. You're going to be smart and strategic and a smart GM and business person about it. I have been very consistent from the very beginning in saying that it's all business. Every single aspect of how you look at it is business. If you decide to bring UC Soros back, it's a business decision. If you decide to trade UC Soros, that's a business decision. If you decide to bring UC Soros back this upcoming season unsigned, and then reevaluate your options at the trade deadline, evaluate his play, evaluate the development of Askarov over the next couple of months, that's a business decision too. You're not going to make any dumb business decisions just because you feel like you have to make a move one way or another.
Well, that is true. But
this is also not how I expected to start the show today, but welcome in.
I take it.
Live radio.
It's going to take them in regards to Askarov, and I'm sure Willy can speak better to this. It's going to take them a little bit longer to assess whether Askarov is ready to make the jump and play the games that they need him to play. 2 months, I don't know if that's, and I know you just do that as a number, 2 months, 3 months, but it's going to take some time. There's a reason why there's a reason why they pulled him from the starting goalie, because they saw something. Whatever it was, they are the ones that are there. They're the ones that are evaluating him. They pulled him for a reason. And typically when you pull somebody like that, you don't think they're ready. Either they're not ready for the moment that they're about to be in, or they're just not ready, period. Maybe he's not ready for the moment. And if he's not ready for that moment, he's damn sure not ready for the moment when he has to play 25 games. And we're talking about 25 games that Lincoln played. You're asking him to play those 25 games. If they pulled him from that, you think he's ready for this? I don't think he's ready. Now,
that's not my decision.
But
that's Barry Trotz's job.
That's what I'm saying.
So we don't know. We don't know. We're not going to know. Mm-hmm. That's Barry's job, is to know.
I mean, so when the question is asked of Barry about Askarov and he quickly turns to Lincoln, and that should tell everybody something. Willie said that yesterday. Mm-hmm. That should tell us something. That Barry, who's been a part of this team for over a decade, well, probably longer than that if I understand he went other places, but combined, he's been with this team over a decade. He knows something about, the goalie position and how to evaluate it. And if the question is asked about Askarov and he goes to Lincoln, like my grandmama said, if you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say anything at all. He practiced that at that moment. He went straight to Lincoln.
And it's also Barry's job too to not just look at right now, because if Askarov had to be called up into the Stanley Cup playoffs tomorrow, he's probably not ready. Mm-hmm. It's Barry's job to also project that out a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 8 years down the line whenever you're signing potentially Saros to an 8-year deal. That's what you have to look at as a GM. Not just today, not just tomorrow, not this upcoming season, but what's my long-term plan for success for this team? And I will go back to the question that I've asked, ever since the end of Game 6, whenever the Predators were bounced from the playoffs. How are you going to become a Stanley Cup contender? What's the path?
Right. I think people that like Adam that just called in that like the idea of trading Saros, you're making certain assumptions that I don't think you can make. And that is, most people are assuming that Askarov is ready for something big. And I don't think that's an assumption you could make. I hope that that's the case. But he's, like Derek has been saying, you can read the signs. You can listen to Barry Trotz. You just saw what happened in Milwaukee the other night. And we'll see what happens as that series goes forward. But I think he's a ways away from where I think the trade Saros people are. 2, I'm not hearing anybody really tell me what you're looking for in a trade for Saros. What's realistic? I need to know what that is. If you're offering me an absolute home run, then I have to maybe rethink things, right? But I think they have vetted that a lot over the last several months. And I don't think I think it's drawn them to the conclusion, not to the conclusion, but it's moved them in a direction that it's better to keep Saros. He's more valuable to us than on the trade market. And then number 3, which is, I think, a huge piece that people are making an assumption that you'll just go get another goalie that will be okay and get the job done. I do not subscribe to that assumption, even though I know that's a popular thing around the league is you can get a decent goalie off the street anywhere. I think that's really risky. And I want you to keep in mind that in this market, if you've been watching the Predators, you have never watched a team that doesn't have excellent goaltending. Never. From the days of Mike Dunham, Chris Mason, Thomas Vokoun, all the way to today. They have never gone through a stretch where they've had bad goaltending. I would invite you to watch a team that struggles to get saves on a nightly basis and what that does to a team. I'm just not willing to go there. So I just don't think that's an assumption you can make. Could it work out if you did it that way? Yeah, absolutely. It could be the best way. I just don't think it's the best way to go. There's too much that I would have to take a leap of faith. I'm taking the sure thing, and that is I know what I've got in UC Saros.
And the other side is a lot of these things are a leap of faith. You're also taking a leap of faith that Ryan McDonough and Ryan O'Reilly and Gus Nyquist, who are now entering their mid-30s, are going to continue to produce at as high of a level as they did this past season. Because if you decide to re-sign Saros, that to me kind of sounds like you're in a window to try to compete and win right now. Can this team, as currently constructed, win a Stanley Cup playoff right now?
Of course
not.
I
don't think so.
Of course not.
So you're going to have to do some major reconstruction and major additions to this team.
We knew that was going to be the case. If you wind the clock back a year ago, you knew that each year you have to try to get something better, right? Even if they had missed the playoffs this year, we'd be saying the same thing that we're saying right now.
Of course.
He knew he wasn't going to have, Barry Trotz knew he wasn't going to have a Stanley Cup contender after 1 year. This is a 2-3 year process. So we're in that process. The question is, how you knew that a year from, like when they signed, especially on the free agent market, Ryan O'Reilly, Gus Nyquist, Luke Schenn, those are 30-something-year-old players that you knew weren't going to be competing for you 5 years from now, right? They're serving a purpose to try to bridge the gap for more young talent, more additional talent to join them. So that hasn't changed at all to me. And I still think they have. The other thing that I think is true that other people, they seem to say that you're saving all of this money by not giving UC Saros a couple $1 million raise that doesn't even take place until 2 years from now. You still have him for $5 million. It doesn't affect this year's budget to upgrade the roster. He's at $5 million. Even if you took that off the books, you have to sign another goalie. And that's going to cost you some of that $5 million. It's not like you're saving a huge chunk. Huh?
If you signed another goaltender, you would not pay that goaltender $8 million for the next 8 years.
Of course not.
So that's
but
money
you have to have
saving.
another goalie. That's
yes,
going to be
course.
part of your budget. You're not saving. You don't have like this extra $10 million per year windfall. You have to budget money for a goalie. Askarov is not going to be your starting goalie for the foreseeable future.
No. So you would have
At
to find
best,
another
he's going to be the
another
backup
goaltender.
that's going to be he's going to be inexpensive, but you're going to have to spend money on another goalie. So if
Yes.
Saros is 5 next year, and then he's whatever he's going to be. We throw out 8. I don't know if it's going to be as high as 8. I think 8 might be the highest that it will be. But if you're still spending, say, 4 on another goalie or 5, you're not saving a huge amount of money, and you don't know what you're getting there. Maybe you're getting another good goalie, but that's an unknown. I'd rather just have Saros for 8.
A lot
the cap
of it
is
an
going up.
unknown. And that's another thing that Robbie brought up this morning that it was a very fair point. The cap's going up. UC Saros' agents know that the cap's going up as well. So what might be an $8 million extension today, $8 million AAV today, might end up being 9.5 if Saros' agents are saying, look, the cap's going up. Like, the market's going to go up.
They're not going to sign him for $9 million. They won't do it. If he wants to stay here, he's going to have to take the market value as of today.
And what I'm saying is Saros says people might say, look, the market value is going to go up with an increased cap.
Well, then fine. Then he can walk. I mean, then we got to discuss a trade. Like, to me, it's all predicated. You're not overpaying for Saros. You're paying a guy that wants to stay here, that has been drafted and raised by the Predators. You're working in that ballpark. You're not working for. To me, that would be inflated. That's just not how the game works. That's not Barry Trotz. I'm not hearing that. I'll be like, okay, then I'm getting on the phone to see what's going on there.
I want to get into some of your thoughts before we get to D-Mase. Jason is on the line. What's up, Jason?
Hey, listen, you just got beat by a third-string goalie. When was the last time that a Stanley Cup winning team was carried by a goalie? I kind of take it back to Derrick Henry. Everybody loves Derrick Henry. Everybody loves that ground and pound kind of thing. When was the last time a team won the Super Bowl with that kind of running back? Been a while. So really, that's a question for me. When was the last time that a Stanley Cup winning team was carried by a goalie?
I would say Andrei Vasilevsky, 2021.
Were they carried by Vasilevsky?
Absolutely. Are you kidding? He's the best of his
They also
era.
have elite scorers as well. It wasn't just
every team has to have more than one elite piece. But
y'all keep moving the goalposts. Y'all keep
In what
moving it because y'all asked him a question.
Is Vasilevsky not the best goalie of the era?
But then you say, well, didn't he have scores? Yes, he has scores. That's like saying you can't win with a like the caller said, you can't win with a Derrick Henry type of running back.
My question
well,
is,
yeah, you can if you got a quarterback to match the Derrick Henry running back.
So it's not really about the running back.
It is. It's about both guys.
About a team.
It's about the team. It's about both guys.
My question is, are you really carried by the goalie?
You can be goalies.
A piece of that team.
Okay. What everybody's not understanding is this. In a team sport, when there's more than 1 game, 2 games, 5 games, 10 games, there's going to be times when the goalie carries you, and there's going to be times when a Philip Forsberg or a Roman Josi carries the team. It ebbs and flows. You would find out how much you need a goalie like UC Saros. I'm not talking about UC. I'm just saying any goalie of his caliber. You can tell as the season goes on when they are bottling up those 1 or 2 guys that you have, and now your last line of defense is your goalie. Now you're looking at it like, oh crap! I wish we had a UC type of player because every game you go out is going to be a game where everybody does their job. Like each player is going to be a reason why they won. This game it may be a UC, but it doesn't take away the fact that it's important to have UC Saros in the net. Just because these other guys are carrying the team at that specific time doesn't mean that UC Saros is not important, because I guarantee you he didn't give up no more than 2 goals.
I never said he wasn't important.
But he asked the question. I answered the question. Vasilevsky is probably the best goalie of his era, hands down. He makes over $9 million a year. They won 2 cups. They won some Game 7s, 1-0 with him winning. Yes, did they have other great players? Absolutely, but he carries them. He is a horse He's the best. There's no question that you cannot deny that.
He's a great goaltender. I'm not denying that. All I'm asking is he
Yes,
carrying
yes,
the team?
Yes, he carries the team.
And how important is a Vasilevsky type of goal into the formula to winning a Stanley Cup championship?
Yeah, obviously, it's important to that team.
Signing for $9-point-something million.
They felt he was important.
All I'm saying is if we're talking about this team and getting closer to a Stanley Cup championship.
I know. Like everybody says, well, what about Vegas? What about Colorado?
Those are fair. Are those not fair points to bring up?
But Nashville is not going to have Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, and Mikko Rantanen, top 4 picks in the draft. Nathan McKinnon was number 1 overall. Rantanen, I think, was number 3. Makar was number 4. They're not going to have top 5 picks to get freaks like that. And they hit on all 3, let alone all of the other teams that have those high picks that they get players that are okay. Like Nico Hischier is a pretty good player. He's first overall. He's pretty good. He's not Cale Makar, Mikko Rantanen, and McKinnon. So you're not going to construct your team that way. There's going to be other ways to construct a championship team. So I just do not subscribe that you don't pay the goalie when you have an elite goalie. Now, is Saros as good as Vasilevsky? I don't think so. But you're not going to pay him over $9 million. That's why the whole, I don't subscribe to the caps going up. So the agent's going to say there's no way that they're going to go that direction. I don't think.
So is he important to winning a cup contending team, or do you not want to pay him?
I want to pay him the right number, which I think is between $7.5 to $8 million a year. I think he is elite. I think you can win with him, and I think it leaves enough to build the roster with your other assets to build a championship roster with all of the draft picks that you've compiled, the top 10 prospect pool that you have in Milwaukee, and a solid amount of salary cap space, especially in a couple of years. They pay most of the bill for the Duchesne, Johansson, all those buyouts. They pay most of it this year. It's still fairly sizable next year, which would be the first year of a new Saros contract. But when that comes off the books, then I think you've got a lot of flexibility in your salary cap, even with a goalie that's making $7 or $8 million, which the cap is going up. It's going to be less of a burden. Like, was Pekka Rinne worth 7 years at $7 million in the last era? I'd say he was worth every penny. Mm-hmm. They won a lot of games. They got to a Stanley Cup final. They won a President's Trophy with their goalie making $7 million, and that was with a lower cap. So what's wrong with that philosophy? I don't understand why
is it a
you don't pay
necessary
the
cost
goalie
to pay if you think that Askarov is going to be as good as everybody is telling us that he is going to be. And if he's not going to be that good, then yeah, you sign Saros.
You don't know if he's going to be that good.
And
You're
you
not
also
going
don't
to know
if Saros is going to be that good over the next 8 years.
Okay, so don't ever sign a guy to 8 years, is what you're saying.
No,
that's what you're saying.
That's not what I'm saying.
Saros
saying
is a known quantity.
A
Saros has
waiting
been doing this
in the shadows. Then why is that?
How do you know he's waiting in the shadows?
We don't know. That's Barry Trotz's job.
Right. I know that UC Saros is one of the best in the game. He has been for 4 years.
I'm not denying.
So you said they shouldn't have signed Philip Forsberg for 8 years?
Is there a Philip Forsberg waiting to fill in that spot? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have signed Philip Forsberg. I was totally fine with the Predators signing Philip Forsberg because they need goal scorers, and that's what Philip Forsberg has done. I'm just saying, is it a necessary cost to pay UC Saros if Askarov is going to be as great as we have been told that he is going to be? And if he's not, then we reevaluate.
Who has told you he's going to be great?
Everyone.
Who?
Everybody says that he is going. You drafted him with the 11th overall pick. I would hope that he's going to be great.
Look at the top 11 picks and tell me who's going to be great, who is great. It's unknown. They get drafted when they're 18 years old.
Of course it's an unknown. You got to gamble on a lot of these things. That's what a GM's job is to decide the unknown. And you're going to hit on some and you're going to miss on some. That's Barry Trotz's job.
All right, you and Adam and Joe and Rob, you guys are entitled to this. I am not.
There's no wrong answer. There's no wrong answer. I'm just saying what I believe, and you are sharing what you believe, and it's totally fine to feel one way or another.
But you're going on an assumption that a guy is going to make it. That's a that's a leap of faith.
Of course it's a leap of faith.
Yeah, it's not going to happen anytime soon.
A lot of these things are leaps of faith, aren't they? It was a leap of faith to sign Philip Forsberg to that deal. I think it would be a leap of faith to sign UC Saros to a long-term deal. It's all leaps of faith. But I do want to get D-Mase's thoughts on this. He'll join us coming up next. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Text line does not work, so get those calls in if you have a thought. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. We are brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to take it to the bank at 1:45 today. You've heard me talking about F&M Bank, the sponsor of that for a long time now, going back to the fall. I want to tell you about why we're so excited to have them on board as one of our sponsors. Whatever your banking needs are, F&M Bank is here to serve you with their 20 convenient locations across Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky. All kinds of financial goals for different people, different stages of life. And so there's different tools they have, like simplified checking or a new savings account, maybe a business-to-business loan. Whatever your needs are, F&M Bank is a full-service community bank. They're helping to make your financial decisions easier on purpose. It's hard to believe easy banking, but that is what they try to do. In addition to their 6 Clarksville locations, they've got Sumner, they've got Robertson counties, they're in Midtown Nashville on West End Avenue, downtown Franklin on Main Street, Mount Juliet, Murfreesboro as well. So it's time to find out for yourself where your nearest location is and why F&M Bank is changing the way banking is done. Life is complicated. Your banking needs don't have to be. Visit myfmbank.com. That's myfmbank.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Slick backhand try right in front of Chris Mason. And now the a quick pass down the middle, breaking in, and a backhand stop by Chris Mason. And Marlowe with a 2-on-1, a 3-on-1, and what a stop by Mason. Cheacher right in front, and what a stop on Ekman by Mason. And goal, number 3, Chris Mason.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063, The Game and the Game Nashville app. Perfect person to join us, given our conversation about the future of the goaltending position for the Nashville Predators. C-Mase, Chris Mason joins us now. C-Mase, we were just kind of debating what's the best path forward for the Nashville Predators at the goaltending position. Barry Trotz has several big decisions to make in this offseason and moving forward, and addressing the key question of how to make the Nashville Predators a Stanley Cup contender. Sign Saros this offseason, trade Saros, go into the regular season and reevaluate Saros' contract either at the trade deadline or after the season. And of course, the Askarov aspect of all of this as well is an important part of building the future of the Predators. So what do you think is the best path forward for the Predators at that goalie position?
Well, I'm pro Saros, just to keep him, and if they're gonna, they want to bring Askarov up, I think that'd be beneficial for him to play with UC Saros. I've heard a lot of talk that on with you guys and other places that Askarov has dominated the American Hockey League. And that's simply not the case. I mean, I think we get caught up in watching all these brilliant highlights on Twitter and say, oh, my God, look, can you imagine this in Nashville? And one day it may be like that. There's no denying he's got an elite skill set. There's no denying that. But he doesn't have an elite brain right now for the NHL. And that's no knock on him. That's just experience. That's learning the efficiency that it takes to be consistent in this league, to be a star goaltender. And if you put somebody in a situation where they're not ready for as a young goaltender, it could really hinder his development. And that's the biggest thing I worry about with him, because he's such an elite talent, is you can't rush it. I get the urgency to do that. And a lot of the solutions, I've heard you guys sit out there, sign somebody like Talbot or bring Lankinen back and all these types of things. Well, I don't know if that's the solution either. I think if you're on pro trade Saros, team, when are you going to get the most value for? You have to know who you're going to trade him to, who you're going to get back. I've heard first rounder and a prospect. Well, who's that going to be? Is it a 10th round pick? 10th overall? Is it a 15th overall? What prospect do you get? Are you getting a kid in the minors, a kid that's drafted, a kid that's playing in the NHL right now on a team where he's not getting enough ice time? There's so much that needs to be figured out in that regard. And then when are you going to do it? When does he hold the most value? Does he hold the most value at the draft? A team's not just going to trade for him on 1 year. It's going to be a trade and sign. Can they get a contract worked out? So Saros doesn't have a no movement clause, but if that's part of the deal, he'll have some say whether that trade goes through or not. Or is it at the trade deadline, you don't sign him and you go with Askarov and Saros to start the year? Saros is on an expiring contract, which is obviously team friendly, 1 year. If a team's going to make a run at the Cup, you just go ahead and make a run at the Cup and you try to get UC Saros at the deadline. Does he hold more value there? Or what I would rather do is you've got a surefire top 3-5 goaltender, however you want to cut it. He's a superstar. He is like a McDavid. He is like a Rantanen and a McKinnon. He is in that category of goaltender. Whether you talk about his playoff success or lack of, well, quite honestly, he hasn't had a really team that's, that I consider a team that could be really successful in the playoffs. Vasilevsky is probably one of the best goalies. He hasn't, barely done anything in playoffs the last couple of years. Do you get rid of him? Bobrovsky had done nothing in his entire career in playoffs until last year. He goes to the final, and all of a sudden he's, considered an elite goaltender and back in that conversation. It's just to put, all that on one player of a team's success just doesn't work for me as an argument. So I'm pro keeping Saros and signing him. Would it change your guys' mind? What if you could sign Saros for a team-friendly deal of, let's say, $7 million per year? And I heard you guys talking yesterday about how that $7 or let's say $8 million in 4 or 3 years, it's going to be like a $5 million, $6 million contract now because of the cap and all those types of things. But So yeah, that's kind of where my head's at.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same. Well, I know I'm in the same place in regards to UC Saros. I think C-Mase. We're talking Chris Mason, Nashville Predators, play-by-play, one half of the play-by-play on television, along with Willy Donick. And this is what I've been trying to sort of weigh with UC Saros and Askarov. Is he ready to, in your mind, is he ready to play the type of games that Lankinen played this past season? Because this team, you're still building this team. So this team is going to still be fighting to enter the playoffs. And once they get in the playoffs, they're going to be fighting, to win, the series, because maybe they don't have that top line forward or center that everybody's screaming they need to go get. So to me, is Lankinen, not Lankinen, is Askarov ready in your mind to play those 25 tough games that Lankinen had to play this season?
I don't think he is. I think that he has definitely earned a chance to compete for a backup job, for a job in the NHL. I think he's got, that talent. I mean, the people that are saying he's dominated the American League, I was pretty much a career backup goalie. I had better seasons in the American League than Yaroslav Askarov did this year in terms of save percentage and all that. And then you have to say, well, Troy Grosenick dominated the American League, with his statistics. He finished 17th in the American Hockey League in save percentage. I'm not denying his talent. I know he's one of these guys. You just, the first time I watched him, I just could not believe, what he's able to do athletically. He's a gifted athlete, one of the best skill sets I've ever seen. But he's got to figure some things out about the mental part of the game, about managing those skills, about not being as super aggressive in all these situations. There's a lot of things that go in to being a good goaltender in the American League, and then being a good goaltender in the National Hockey League. And for a young goaltender, this is why mentally is the biggest thing. His skills are undeniable. There's no denying. But if his development is hindered in a negative way mentally, you could derail what his potential could be. And that's why you have to be extremely careful with a goaltender. Get him up here with UC Saros. You see the work ethic, the amount of detail that goes into every part of his game. As somebody that's established, he's a top guy. He's not going to be, coming up there saying, hey, I'm better than Talbot or Lankinen, and I'm going to take over the job. That dynamic is extremely important. I think we often overlook what that means to this situation and the relationship. And then it's good. Quite be honest, it's good for Saros. Whether it's going to push him. It's like, oh, here's a young stud coming in. Here's some competition here, and all those types of things. But I think if you're just looking at Askarov, what is best for him, and to get him to the point where he's going to be, reach his highest potential possible, I think that move is bring him to the NHL with UC Saros. And I don't think any of the other situations, Kevin Lankin's unbelievable guy. I think that could potentially work, but then you've got some stuff to work out with him. He's the number one guy now. How does he handle that? Is he going to be as effective in that role as he was, as a backup? Maybe. We don't know. That's a question mark. But that effect, then it all of a sudden creeps into some uncertainty in your goaltending situation. If Askarov comes up and, he's not playing well in that situation, and then you have two guys that you really don't know. And I'm not saying that, is going to happen, but it's definitely a possibility. And I can tell you do not want to be in that situation.
Chris Mason is with us. Mace, a lot of people have made this point that, hey, Vancouver just beat the Predators using their third goalie for part of the series. Maybe you can help shed light on, because I think it's analogous to a pitcher or somebody in a postseason series rising to the occasion in a short period of time. Because I think Askarov probably could have done what Shilovs is doing. He's talented enough to do it. But the difference in that versus performing over a 6-month period where you have to have the consistency.
Yeah, that's you see all those stories all the time. I mean, Aiden Hill won the Stanley Cup, and you've had Chicago won some cups without some top goaltenders. It's how your team is individually constructed, where you put your assets. I think Shilovs, quite honestly, did a remarkable job. But if I'm being honest, and I watched all the other series, he didn't get the quality of shot. The Vancouver Canucks do not give up the quality of shot, so they protect their guys And I'm not knocking him at all. I mean, as your goalie, you just, the only thing you can control is stopping the pucks that get shot at you. You know, it's not your fault if you don't get great scoring chances against you. But, you know, he's in a situation, any goaltender who plays for Vancouver, you're probably going to be statistically pretty good over the season, you know, in a playoff series in a short amount of time. When they're especially locking it down the way that they were, you're probably going to have, you know, some sort of success. And he did. And, you know, he looked a bit human against Edmonton, which is, a powerhouse offensive team. They ended up winning the game. They came back in a remarkable game. But, I mean, you are a product of your environment. And for a guy like Shelov's, hey, he's in a great environment right now, and good for him.
Why do you think? Because I think this is another point that people probably don't absorb as easily, because they see in other sports a guy that's 22 or 23 excelling. But the goaltender position, why do you think it takes until your mid-20s in many cases, sometimes even more? I think Pekka Rinne didn't start winning games really consistently until he was about 27 in the league. Why does it take goalies longer?
It's the magnitude and the pressure of the position. And, you know, it's just historically forwards can come in. There's less responsibility. You're protected. You're covered by, you know, your defenseman. There's 4 people behind you. You can turn pucks over and, hey, you know, we're letting him learn on the fly and we're going to develop him. He's got the skill. You can kind of work those things out in the National Hockey League and still be okay, and your team will be okay. When you're an 18-year-old defenseman or 19-year-old defenseman, you don't necessarily have that luxury either. It takes a longer time typically to develop defensemen. You need some time in the minors. You need to play. You need to play top minutes. You know, you need to be in all those situations because you have more responsibility in the game. The outcome can be determined by your mistakes in the hockey game. There's more pressure there. Physically, you need to be stronger as a defenseman in these situations. And as a goaltender, that's the ultimate pressure in a hockey, in a position. You're an individual position in a team sport where it really falls on you. You have no control. You can't go out and make anything happen. You have to sit there. Everything that happens in front of you has to come to you. It's I don't know if there's any other position like it in sports. And if you fail, you know, as a young player, and you continually fail, and you can be, your whole career could be derailed, or you'll never reach your potential. We've seen it with so many guys. I mean, I remember when Carter Hart came up, he had played a few good games, and he was like, oh, look at Carter Hart. Well, he lost his job. He's been up and down. He's had some good stretches, and, you know, there's goalies, you know, you talked about Devin Levi. He came up, oh, look at Devin Levi. He's the next, you know, greatest thing. All of a sudden he starts the season just awful. Now he goes down. Talk about a guy that's dominating the American League. He went down and dominated the American League this year. But, you know, and he's a little bit older, I think. Or is he right around the same age?
He's 22, 23. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So he's the same age. And again, it's situationally to these guys, but you just have to be careful. And, you know, Askarov's got 2 NHL games under his belt. He did, I would say, okay. There's just a lot of work left to be done. I know people say, well, how is he going to get the experience without getting the experience? He definitely needs the experience. He's definitely ready, you know, skill-wise to maybe take that next step, and it'd be so beneficial for him to see and to go on the ice every single day with UC Saros and Ben Vanderklok, and kind of just that was the most powerful thing for me when I was, you know, and I'm no talent, you know, like Askarov, I know that, but for me to get better was I was on the ice with Thomas Vokoun and Mitch Korn and these great guys, and my curve of development just skyrocketed, because I'm like, holy crap, okay. You know, I'm watching this guy who's an amazing goaltender, who's got a lot more, you know, skill and control and all these different types of things in his game. And I'm learning him from Mitch, who, you know, helped, you know, teach Thomas Vokoun and all these guys, Dominic Hasek. And I just think for someone that is as talented as Yaroslav Askarov, you have to be careful. You can't rush this kid. There's no point. And I know everybody wants a draft picks, and they seem to want to move on and get everything you can for Saros, who is a top 3 goaltender in the league, in my opinion. He had a down year, so it's easy to jump on him this year. But I don't think that's the answer, personally. I think UC Saros needs to be here, and I think Yaroslav Askarov needs to be here.
D-Mase, nobody knows the position better than you, so we appreciate your insight and appreciate you for joining us, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks, D-Mase. Let's react to that. And we also have some thoughts on the Saros and future of the Nashville Predators in the goaltending position debates. We are right to you coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Let's talk about Zen Sports, people, the new sports book in Tennessee that's bringing sports betting to a whole new level. And I mean that literally, people. When you sign up for Zen Sports, you'll automatically earn up to $1,000 no danger first wager with your first bet. If your first bet loses, you'll be reimbursed for the amount of your bet up to $1,000. Plus, Zen Sports offers true odds on all parlays and boosted same-game parlays for all Tennessee sports teams. That means boosted up to 20% over other books in Tennessee. Listen, there's even more good news, and we love good news on a Friday. Zen Sports offers a one-of-a-kind VIP reward program. If you qualify, you'll earn monthly comps at sporting events, concerts, which we have plenty of. You name it, even sport book bonuses. The VIP program is by invite only, so you can't be stepping in here all willy-nilly, big people. So if you feel that your Zen Sports play qualifies for the VIP consideration, check out the program details and apply at zensports.com/VIP. So what are you waiting for, bettors? Get going. The daily same game parlay boost go quickly. So download the app today at zensports.com. That's Zen Sports, where betting just got better. And remember, gambling problems, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older to bet here in Tennessee.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, promise your phones. We are right to them. Mike is in Nashville. He's got a bone to pick with Willy. Oh, boy. Go ahead, Mike. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, Willy. Hey, guys. My bone is simply this, is that, I understand that UC is a great goalie during the regular season, but his playoff record, he has a 2.86 goals against, which is 26th in the league, and a save percentage of .906, which is tied for 23rd. That's not elite playing. And when it comes to playoff hockey, yes, you have forwards and you have defensemen who are responsible, for helping him out, but he has got to play better than that. Those are his career stats. So when we're talking about paying players, well, they need to step up. And as you talked about earlier, Pecorino didn't start off great, but he stepped it up as he, got more experience and more experience. UC Soros also has the second worst record in the playoffs amongst goalies. So I'm not saying he's not a good goalie. I'm just saying let's pump the brakes on the elite word when it comes to the playoffs, because his statistics speak for themselves. That's all I got. Love your show. Willy, I think you're a little biased, but that's okay. So is D-Mase. Y'all call the games, and you're close to the players, and I get that, but let's be a little objective. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thanks for your call, Mike.
I'm not going to lie that I am influenced by watching UC Soros every day. But if you think I just am UC Soros fan club and I don't want the Predators to win, I just want UC Soros to do well, that doesn't really make any sense. So the objective thing, I'm giving you my objective opinion based on what I see from my unique chair that I sit in, watching UC Soros and really being able to observe UC Soros as a pro a little more behind the scenes than a lot of people. I know what he's about. So it doesn't bother me as much as it bothers some that he hasn't won in the playoffs. And I'm granting that, look, it's results. He has not won in the playoffs. It's only 3 series. I think if you're going to really cut it fine, by the way, his numbers are wrong. He's got a 2.45 goals against average in his playoff career, a .911 save percentage, which is not bad. The one-loss record, obviously, is eye-popping at 5-11. Mm-hmm. But I think if you look at his last 2 series that he's played, I think he's played very well in those series. Has he been lights out, steal the series? No, he hasn't. And I think that is something I'd like to see and I think can happen in the future. But there's a lot of things that go into that. You need a little luck. You need some breaks to go the other way. His team only scored 12 goals in the entire series. His goals against average in this last series was 2.02. So we're really holding him to an unbelievably high standard for him to steal that series. And maybe he could have, like one or two more saves, maybe one more in particular at the very beginning of the game. But that's really holding him to almost perfection for that. And I look at his track record, and I'm willing to bet and invest in his stock going forward. So it's not anything about bias. I like Juice. I don't hang out with Juice. I don't. I know him as a person, as a professional. I don't know him off the ice. I know what every single person who's around him says about him, and I observe his professionalism. I'm willing to bet on that as far as that, as opposed to, let's look at this unknown factor. Okay, so it's not me palling around with Juice. That's what I don't really get that, where people are saying you're not being objective. This is not about that. I want the best way for the Predators to build a championship team. I'm just giving you my opinion on, I think, the best way to go.
I want to get to as many phones as possible. Mike's in Gallatin with a thought on Soros. What's up, Mike?
Hey, guys. So, Willy, I'm kind of on your camp with the extent that, the goaltending is going to be whatever the best goaltending duo we can get for ourselves. I'm okay with that. I guess where I was coming from, especially when we were talking about potentially trading Saros before we went on that tear, was that we could trade Saros to get a proven, or I guess already up-and-coming goal scorer or something like that. I'm not in the camp of being able to trade UC Saros to a Stanley Cup contending team right now and just getting a first-round pick back from them. To me, that's not going to cut it. For me to get like you said, a top 5 goalie back in return, I need a guy who can score. I feel like the Predators got dominated by the depth of Vancouver, and we felt like that was going to be one of those things that we had going, an issue we were going to have going in. But we have to find a way to be able to acquire or find these goal-scoring forwards. I know we have cap space. I know we have young forwards that are there. But, like, again, like we're banking on a lot of coin flips and things like that with the NHL draft because, again, like you said, these players come in so young.
Mike, I don't want to cut you off, but we are crunched for time.
But
so
I get your point
your
because there's no question that the goal has to be to upgrade the forwards, right?
Yes.
And let's not overlook the defense. Like the defense probably needs some tweaking in the years to come as well. But if you're looking at that elite scorer, the one more big finisher, yes, that's what they're looking for.
We can all agree with that.
But if you're going to offer me a prospect and a first-round pick, the first-round pick doesn't help me for 5 years, probably. Yeah. Phil Tomasino was drafted 5 years ago. We're still sitting here debating whether he's going to make it or not. He's a first-round pick. That happens with a lot of people. So, at best, that is the 2028 Predators. That doesn't help me anytime soon. UC Saros, I know what I'm getting going forward. So the draft picks, that's not the pathway to a championship anytime soon, right? Maybe it will be in 2030, but the prospect is the key. And is it a guy on the verge of stardom? I don't know. Tell me who it is. Or are they going to trade you an established elite scorer? I don't think offer has been on the table. If that comes down the pike, then we'll talk. But I'm under the assumption that they've vetted a lot of this stuff. So I need certainty back for UC Saros. Now, if we're talking about trading a Skarov for some potentials, the equivalent of a scorer, I'm listening to that for sure. At some point, you're going to trade a Skarov for Saros someday.
You can't hold on to both.
Mm-hmm. No, not forever, but you can. You don't have to trade them today.
Right.
You have time.
The unknowns here and the wild cards here are the return for Saros, what's the market for Saros, and also the readiness and the timeline for Askarov. Because you say that's not a path to a Stanley Cup anytime soon, and I would agree that if you're waiting for a kid for 5 to 7 years, like it's not going to help you win a Stanley Cup today. But if you hold on to Saros and you run things back, not exactly, but you hold on to the core as much as possible, is that a path to winning a Stanley Cup anytime soon? I don't know that either.
Well, they have these guys, so they just brought these guys in. They've got Nyquist, they've got O'Reilly, they've got Saros. I mean, they've got Yossi, they've got Forsberg. That's gotten you a certain amount of the way, so you can't scrap the whole thing.
Otherwise, you can't scrap the whole thing.
But you have
But
flexibility.
they're also in their 30s,
right? But you have some flexibility in your cap. You have some cap space. You have some prospects in Milwaukee that I think are pretty promising. That collectively, that's how you're going to upgrade the roster.
We got to run here. We are up against the clock. But coming up next, what Brian Callahan had to say about Traylon Burks' offseason. What does D-Mase make of it? What do we make of it? We'll get into that coming up next. Ask D-Mase in 30 minutes. Get those calls in for D-Mase. Text line is broken, 615-737-1025. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063 The Game.
Hey, this is Derek Mason, D-Mase, as you know. And you've heard me tell you about Dr. Lodge and his staff at Cool Springs MD for some time. I've raved about them, people, and I'm going to continue to rave about them. If you have set out to lose weight, chances are it's not your first time setting a resolution to shed some extra pounds, only to face disappointment. And we want to remove those disappointments from you. That's what Dr. Lodge and Cool Springs MD want to do. At Cool Springs MD, Dr. Lodge and his team understands the frustration of this cycle, and that is why they offer a different approach to weight loss, because every approach can't be the same. Why? Because people are not the same, okay? Their comprehensive weight loss program is led by Dr. Lodge and addresses the root cause of weight gain. It could be different for some, it could be different for others, people, okay? With tailored nutrition, exercise, blood tests, supplements, and more, they will customize a program specifically for you and to you Personalized, people. That's what we need. A personalized and customized program. Connect with Dr. Lodge and CoolSpringsMD.com today to schedule your appointment for a personalized weight loss plan just for you. Cool Springs MD, where your weight loss journey becomes a success story.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app. We're streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. And we are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Day one of rookie minicamp today, so we'll get some updates throughout the day. Obviously, we are not at St. Thomas Sports Park, but we'll get some updates from Brian Callahan as he takes the podium later this hour. Also, ask D-Mase later this hour. No text line, so get your calls in for D-Mase. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. But we also heard from Brian Callahan yesterday. And while today I believe is going to be a recap of what we saw from the rookies, of his takeaways from day one of rookie minicamp, yesterday was just kind of a recap of draft picks and looking ahead to the offseason program and Tyler Boyd, the addition of Tyler Boyd. And of course, Brian Callahan was asked about the addition of Tyler Boyd, but also pivoted very quickly to address something that we have been talking a whole heck of a lot about over the past couple of weeks and months. And as we lead up to the NFL regular season here in a few months, this was Brian Callahan, not just on Tyler Boyd, but the receiving position as a whole.
Yeah, since it's not official yet, hasn't signed the papers in general, just to put that out there to start. That'll be official sooner than later, but not quite yet. But Tyler is a slot receiver. That's what he does. That's where he's made his money. That's where his production has come from. He's a fantastic slot receiver on top of it. Most importantly, I think he's a awesome addition to the locker room. He's a great human being, great worker, and everything about him is what we want to be about. And so to add him is really is an impactful add for us, and excited about it. As far as Traylon's role, he's going to play everything. We've told him that from the beginning. He's going to play inside. He's going to play outside, and he's going to carve out a role for himself. And I had him come up today and do the break after practice because his work that he's put in has been really impressive. Just to give you guys some context, yesterday, Tuesdays are our harder days of our 4-day work week. It's a really heavy day, and so the load on the players is high. And what I mean by that is both acceleration, max speeds, and yardage. And so Traylon, I think, ran 3,591 yards on Tuesday, and then hit our top speed and team-leading top speed at 22.6 miles an hour in practice. So super impressive workload and performance. And so he's had a really good offseason. I'm excited about what he can bring for us. I meant when I said that the other day that I think he's going to have a role to play.
Again, that was Brian Callahan at the podium yesterday, and talks about Tyler Boyd, but also made sure to address Treylon Burks, that he's going to play everywhere. He's going to carve out a role for himself. And I don't think that it was by accident that Brian Callahan made sure to point out specific things that Treylon Burks has been doing or did this week in training. 3,000-something yards, and I'm just trying to compute that in my head because when I think of running, I don't really necessarily calculate it in yards. I'm like, my goodness, 3,000, that's a lot of yards. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, D-Mase, what do you take away from that, what Brian Callahan had to say about Treylon Burks, how he's going to carve out a role for himself?
He was being honest, I think. And when you have a guy that has the talent that Treylon has, the potential, and we've seen it. It's not like, we haven't seen it in him. So when you have a guy that's talented like that, but you have a receiving room that is made up of these veteran guys with this young guy, you want to make sure you give him enough opportunities to be effective in his offense.
Because surely he didn't take the news of signing Tyler Boyd well. I mean, surely he's probably not jumping up and down super excited about bringing another receiver in.
You either one or two things, fight or fly. That's what you do. Either they bring in another guy and you go in a shell and, it just messes up your whole aura or whatever. It messes it all up and you're upset. Or you take it as an opportunity. Okay, I'm going to prove to them why I should be here, why I need to be here, and that I want to be here. So he can take either, one or two approaches. Hopefully he takes the latter. Just go in there and compete. But that's all Brian is saying. Listen, go compete. That's all we're going to make sure you're not just an X, you're not just a Z, you're not just an H or a Y. We're asking you to learn all those positions. I'm familiar with this, very familiar with this. As a rookie, I come in and Les Steckel says you need to know all these positions. Back then, I didn't understand, why I wasn't the second round pick. I'm trying to earn a spot on this team. Let me learn one position, because that one position is hard to learn anyway, so let me learn it. But I didn't know he was giving me an opportunity to compete across the board, not just at the X, but at the Z and at the H, that if any one of these guys went down, I've shown enough to where he can insert me in there and wouldn't have a problem. And you know what he did the first game of the season? He inserted me in there because Derek Russell got hurt. Had I not practiced at that H position, I wouldn't have been in a position to show them that I can play it. Or he wouldn't have had the confidence in me to put me in as the slot receiver. I see Treylon Burks the same way. They're trying to give him an opportunity to earn a role in this offense. Why? Because they want him to have a role in this offense. No coach is going to say, I want you to learn all these positions if they don't want you to have a role in this offense. If they don't want you to go and produce whenever we put you in. It could be at the X, it could be the Z, it could be at the H or the Y. No matter where we put you, we need to have the confidence that we can just throw you out there. So this is a good thing for Traylon, I believe. And coach is just being honest. We're going to give him an opportunity. He's going to play all three, and we're going to count on him to know all three positions. Why? Because we're going to need him. The Tyler Boyd signing has nothing to do with Traylon Burks. They needed to upgrade that room anyway, and they wanted to upgrade it with veteran guys to help the quarterback. That didn't have anything to do with Traylon Burks. Everything that has to do with Traylon Burks can help it. He can go in and make their minds up for them. Go out there and ball out. Go out there and learn. That's why he's throwing out numbers. That's why he's throwing out the speed and the numbers and amount of yards that he ran.
That's not by accident.
No, it's not by accident.
Yeah.
He wants to show, like, Traylon, this can be done. You can do it. We're just asking you to go out and hone in on that skill set that you have that we don't think the other receivers on this roster have. They can't take any one of these other receivers and try to put them at all three positions. I'm not saying they couldn't put them there because they don't know it. Yeah, D-Hop can learn all three positions. Ridley can learn all three positions. Tyler Boyd can learn. They can do that. But to play it at a level we need you to play it at, I'm not sure they can do it like Traylon Burks.
Well, I think it was pretty obvious there. Brian Callahan said Tyler Boyd's our slot.
Yeah,
he's going to play slot for us. And what was the stat that you said earlier this week, Willie? Over the last 8 years?
Over the last 8 years. Now, 8 years is a long period of time, especially in NFL years, right? So we have to maybe separate the first 4 years from the last 4 years. I'd like to see the difference. And also under, Brian Callahan's influence as opposed to the previous coaching staff, which would be part of that timetable. But over the last 8 years, he has the most catches and yards of any NFL wide receiver from the slot. Only on catches from the slot. So he's a specialist from that area.
And also, I think a testament, too, to his availability. That
over
the last 8 years, he's been consistently
Yeah.
available.
Yeah, he hasn't missed much time with injury.
He's not missing
and
a
I
lot
heard
of
Callahan say this, and I think this is important, too. And I think of Gus Nyquist and Luke Shin. They think he brings that element, that ingredient to a locker room that is a positive ingredient. And I would think that would have to go without saying, but I like hearing that hopefully he's a guy that Burks can learn from. Maybe he's a reason why Burks gets it, or another reason, right? One of many.
It could be one of many. If Traylon didn't get it before they signed Tyler Boyd or before they signed Ridley, I'm not sure if he will ever get it. If we were waiting on him to get it because of these signings. Again, I think how they feel about Traylon Burks and what they feel he can be in his offense is separate from them going out and getting Tyler Boyd. Because Tyler Boyd is specific at one thing. He's going to be their slot. Tyler Boyd can't play outside. He's their slot. So when you bring in just a guy for the slot position, that doesn't tell me, oh, you forgot about Traylon Burks. It doesn't tell me that because you didn't bring him in to do the things that you're asking Traylon Burks to do. Traylon Burks will be on the field if he shows them he needs to be on the field or he's earned the right to be on the field. Them signing Tyler Boyd doesn't mean Traylon Burks is not getting on the field anymore. No, Traylon will get on the field as much as he earns that right to get on the field. And that's fair. That is completely fair.
Best 11.
And, you don't get much fair in sports. Fair is where they judge, pigs and all that other stuff. It doesn't have to be
fair. Funnel cake.
Yeah, and where you get funnel cake, absolutely.
Deep fried Oreos.
And deep fried Oreos, absolutely. So we can keep on going down the line.
Was going to chime in with something.
But it has nothing to do with, I'm being fair to the player. No. What's being fair to the player? Just go out and compete. You'll make our job a lot easier. Just go out and compete and do the things that we're asking you to do. Hone in on the talent that we know you have. You do that, that Tyler Boyd signing means nothing to us. It only enhances what we're doing. But what's going to – listen to me, people. What's going to make this receiving core pop This is a good receiving core right now. This is probably the best receiving core they've had since we had Drew and Dice and myself and Justin, us four. Since then, they haven't been able to recreate a top 3 or 4. They've had individuals, Nate Washington, Delaney Walker, Rashad Matthews, guys like that came in and got the job done. But they haven't had a group of guys. The closest they came to was 2 or 3 years ago when they had AJ and Corey and Janu, and they had a good receiving core, like guys that can catch the ball. Well, this is the closest. This is probably the closest they've been to having 4 solid guys, really good guys, since the early 2000s. But it doesn't change what they believe Traylon can do. Traylon, if it goes the way I'm sure he wants it to go, this receiving core will end up being the best receiving core in the National Football League. He's that one guy that can make all of this pop and come all together because his ability to play all the positions, his ability to have this speed. He's the one with the speed. He's the one with that aggressiveness. He's the closest thing to A.J. Brown that they've had. He's not A.J. Brown. He's not A.J. Brown, but he's the closest. Size, speed, strength, his ability to get a mismatch because of this big body. He's the closest. If we can get him to pop, it's going to set off our whole receiving core. Anybody that don't believe that, y'all ain't been watching receivers in their receiving core.
Do you
think
just
haven't been.
Do you think he has you like to call it the dog, right? Just that fight. That's what I haven't. He hasn't been out there enough for me to really know. I can see the fluidness. Or lack of fluidness as he catches the ball. Those are things. But what about just the interior? Like, I'm going to get this done. I am going to win this catch. I'm going to put numbers up. I am the man. Does he have that?
And then this is the question that Caroline brought up about a month ago, and it's no one can answer that but Traylon Burks. Does he have that dog in him? What I truly want to see from Traylon is this. The world's against you, and I'm not talking against you in a bad way, like they just wanted, but they are like, move on from him. He's done.
A lot of noise.
Exactly, a lot of noise around it, trading, doing all this stuff. I went through it, so I can speak on this. Yeah. Everybody is against you. Well, go out there and show them. Go out there and prove them wrong. That's what you got to do. That's what I want to see. That's the dog in him. Can you fight through all of this noise? Yep. Can you fight through all of these signings? Remember, they drafted Kevin Dyson. They signed Carl Pickens. They signed Yancey Thigpen. They had Chris Sanders. They drafted Joey Kent right before me. They even brought in Tyrone Calico 2 or 3 years later. I fought through all that crap. Those my boys now. And I'm not talking about them being crap. I'm saying all the stuff that they tried to bring in, just now, I have my eyes on one thing, is to be a starter and be dominant in the league. That's all I cared about. Early on, I was hurt that they brought it. But then, hey, somebody came in, Chris Sanders, say, listen, worry about what you can. And when he said that, you're absolutely right. Let me worry about what I can control, because the things I can control, I'm going to show you that I need to be playing, and I need to be playing right now. Fortunately enough for me, unfortunate for Kevin, when he got hurt, but I was ready. If I wasn't ready, they wouldn't have thrown me in there. So Traylon, as I did, just fight through all the mess. Fight through all the noise. Fight through all the signings. Those are your boys. You're cool with them. Y'all have a great relationship. I had a great relationship with Chris, Dice, all of them, Joey. But I fought through all of that to become a star. Traylon has to do the same thing. That's the dog I want to see. Fight through all that crap. Fight through all the noise. Fight through all the signs.
The bottom line is,
earn your spot.
It will work out one way or the other if he does.
Absolutely.
If he has the talent of a first-round pick of what he has flashed, right? He's flashed enough where we're like, okay, I see it. He's big. He's strong. Yeah. He can do these things. Like in the training camp before the injury in Minnesota, everybody was really raving about him. Really, right? That was everybody was raving.
Oh, yeah.
So if he can get to that level, it will work out. They'll figure out a way to get him out there.
And what Brian Callahan, what I took away from what he had to say is, we're going to give you
Exactly.
Carte blanche. We're going to give you an opportunity to play anywhere. Is that H, X, Y, Z, element of P, wherever. It's yours for the taking. Take it. Take the opportunity. And that will answer my question. What's your want? What's your want level? Do you want this? Because we're going to give you every opportunity to take it. All right, Ask D-Mase coming up next. Call in questions for D-Mase. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Text line is down. Or if you're watching on the YouTube stream, you can comment a question, and we'll take your question in the YouTube chat. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. We are brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
D-Mase. He played 15 years in the NFL.
Quick throw. Touchdown, Derek Mason.
He had over 12,000 receiving yards.
Midfield, and there he goes. 80 yards for the touchdown.
And now you can ask him anything. Have a question about football or life? Now's your time to ask D-Mase.
We'll welcome you in.
Now on Caroline, Willy, and
D-Mase.
on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Ask D-Mase. Get those questions in for D-Mase. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you haven't heard, our text line's not working. So if you have a call for D-Mase, or if you have a question for D-Mase, call in. Pick up the phone, 615-737-1025. Or if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to send a question into the chat. We'll get to those as well. Before we get to your questions for D-Mase, I have to let y'all know that you can join Cromwell Media along with local athletes and musicians at Hermitage Golf Course on June 20th for the 615 Open. Make a difference while supporting Souls for Souls. Every $20 raised goes to a new pair of shoes for a local child experiencing homelessness. So sign up to play or sponsor at 615open.com. Let's get to your questions for D-Mase. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Our guy, Eric, is on the line with a question for D-Mase, and probably a dad joke if I had to guess as well. What's up, Eric?
No, the reason there's no dad joke this weekend, of course, it's Mother's Day. So I want
So you got a mom's joke?
Hey, no mothers, man. No mothers, man.
No Mother's Day joke. But seriously, guys, all serious, I want to wish all the moms out there a very happy Mother's Day. Hope you enjoy. Caroline, I don't know if you're a mom, but if you are, I want to wish you a happy Mother's Day as well.
I am not.
Okay.
I am not, that I know of at least. But
Okay.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I wasn't sure, so I didn't know. So
I appreciate that, Eric. Thank you. But happy Mother's Day to my mom and to yours as well.
Yeah, well, the thing is, though, is don't want to be real somber, but yeah, my mother's passed away about a year and a half ago. And the thing is, as long as your mother's around, definitely cherish them because they're the only ones you got. And definitely, if you have problems with your mothers, you need to work them out and straighten them out right now. It's not a good thing if mothers and children are having problems. And I know there's some of that out there. But speaking of Mother's Day, Derek, I'm glad I got in first because this is a question I want to ask you. What would you say is the best present that you yourself gave your mom, and would your mom agree? What would she say is the best present that you gave her? Is it one and the same? Is it different? Just wanted to get your thoughts on that. The best present that you ever gave your mom, or what would she say is the best present that she ever received from you? Guys, y'all take care. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Eric. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Eric. And like Eric, my mom it's been 7 years, 8 years since my mom passed. So
it's hard.
It's hard. And, right around this time, you just start to think about things that you used to do and phone calls or whatnot. The best present I gave my mom, I don't know. Because a lot of times it's not the size or the amount of the gift. It's just that it came from, the place it came from. I would love to always think that her grandchildren were the best gift that I could have given to her. So I can't go past anything past that. Now, have I given her material things and stuff like that? Yeah. But just grandkids. And I think the ability for her and my dad to watch me do something that I enjoyed doing as a kid. And being able to, talk about that and be excited about that, being excited to go to the Super Bowl, being excited to come to Baltimore, or when we were here, traveling here to Nashville. They always enjoyed being in Nashville to watch me play. So I would tend to believe it was the grandchildren.
Yeah.
But she's
I don't
not
know
here
if it
any
gets
longer.
better than that.
She's not here any longer. So it's hard to really. But I would tend to believe that was probably more than likely the greatest.
When you first got drafted, or let's say when you got your first paycheck, was she the person that you called? First person you called?
I was married too, so I mean.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So she was excited when I got signed, when I got drafted, and she was a proud mom. Man, they were proud parents. Just to see, I think any parent, mom especially, because this is Mother's Day, when they see their child excelling and doing well, and they don't have to worry about them, that's always a good thing for them, for a parent. At least I think, because I look at my kids, and they're thriving. And I think that's something that I don't have to worry about. Still worry about a lot of other stuff with them, but that's one thing I don't have to worry about. Like, they turned out great, or they are turning out to be really great humans and adults. So,
That's probably another one of the best gifts you gave your mom.
Yeah.
Like, look, I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good.
You ain't got to worry. I'm good.
No more worry. I'm sure she still did worry about so many.
Yeah,
other things.
she called me
That's
every
what moms
day.
do.
She called me every day. And, that's the part, like Eric said, if you got your mom here, and I understand everybody's family dynamics are not the same, and there could be some strain in the family dynamic, and I understand that part. But if there's anything in you that want to reconcile, do it. Because those phone calls, and I know we all are going to have our day, but those phone calls you get every day, when you don't get them, they affect you. They really do affect you. They affected me, and they still do at times. So, if your mom's here living, reach out. Enjoy them on Mother's Day, but enjoy them every day. Parents, fathers, the same thing. Enjoy fathers every day, because we're getting older, and best believe they're getting older. I think those were a few things that you asked what she would have. I think those are the things.
I'm sure she would have.
Yeah.
All great things.
Caroline, I have to say, we have a message by Scroll.
So the people have been taking this.
Yes, this
seriously.
it came from a pigeon outside. I didn't see where it came from, but it says here for D-Mase.
Okay.
What is your most favorable moment, I guess, in pastime when you went to practice with your kids?
Favorite moment? There's still because my daughter, she didn't care to come. And not that she was a girl, but she didn't care to come. It's
hot outside.
It was like, I don't want to go out. When she was little, bring her every once in a while. But, her mom would bring her during practice. And then, after 2 days or what, come over and talk or whatnot. So she's experienced some of that. But I think, for me, there's a picture that I still have. I forgot who took it. I need to look on a newspaper and see who actually took the picture. It was in the Tennessean. And ironically, it was the preseason before I end up getting released. Where I had DJ, and I'm walking. I got his hands. I'm looking forward, like going toward the locker room. He's looking back. I guess at his mom or somebody, like, where we going? Y'all ain't coming. But it was just a wonderful picture of he and I getting ready to walk into the locker room.
That's really cool.
So he's experienced all of that. And that part was cool, like, to have DJ. And he, like, they love, like, especially when I went to Baltimore, because when I was here, he was so young. He was just so young. Mm-hmm. But when I went to Baltimore, a lot of his personality started to come out. And I would take him with me just about every Saturday, especially if we played home. And he and Troy Smith, them two, they were like little kids together. Besties. He was a little kid, but Troy isn't a little kid, but he was like a little kid with my son. And it was just the most wonderful thing to see, like, my son enjoying that. Found him a friend, like, I want to go see Troy. Like, I want to go. And every time Troy would see him, those two would go back and forth. And it was just a fun thing to watch. So.
That is so fun. That was one of my favorite parts of going to training camp, is watching the kids after practice, and especially Kevin Byard's daughter. Like, Kevin Byard's daughter, I remember there was one day after practice, she picked up his helmet and his gloves, and she's all of 11 pounds, like itty bitty tiny little toddler, maybe 2-3 years old, and she's walking around, helmet's bigger than she is, and it's just such sweet moments that I know.
Yeah.
Players just absolutely love and adore, and will, I'm sure, forever.
Yeah, you always love those moments.
We've got a question on the YouTube chat. Look at us. Alex comments, says, why is there disrespect toward the Titans and Levis FanDuel having him ranked 32nd? Remember that? 32nd overall quarterback behind quarterbacks that hadn't even been drafted yet. Says, in the Titans picking second. My opinion.
Have they redone that since the draft?
TBD. I guess we might see some new content here in the next couple of weeks. And he says, in my opinion, Vrabel would have ruined Levis's legacy by misdeveloping him.
Listen, and I've been on the record, and I've said this before Will Levis was even drafted. they didn't do a particularly good job at developing the quarterbacks on their roster. For what reason, I don't know. But they didn't. Marcus Mariota never got any better. You know, the other quarterbacks that they brought, the only quarterback that they had some success with was Ryan Tannehill. They didn't develop Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill had been in the NFL already 7-8 years prior to coming to Nashville. He was who he was as a quarterback. You just wanted to make sure you honed it in and made sure he was the best fit for the type of offense you wanted to run. But as a quarterback, he was more developed than not. So you didn't have to spend that time developing him and all this other stuff. He had his thing going. Now you can enhance it. Yes, I get that. And he was always looking to get better, I'm sure. But when you talk about these young quarterbacks, Malik Willis, all these, they didn't improve. They didn't improve not one bit. So the caller or the texter saying that, it rings true a little bit, at least in my eyes, because this is what I was talking about prior to them changing offensive coordinators, all this other stuff. I said they're not developing the quarterback position. They're not. It's evident. And every guy that they put in, they're not developing. They don't seem like they're getting better. The one guy is Ryan Tannehill, but he was developed a long time ago.
Yeah.
You know? So the caller may be, and the texter may be right. They may have, you know, not did the best for Will Levis had they remained the coaching staff. I'm just going by what I saw prior to them drafting Will Levis.
And it's tough, too, because Marcus was not drafted when Mike Vrabel was the coach.
Yep.
And was that the development under Vrabel, or is that maybe Marcus Mariota just wasn't destined to be an NFL quarterback? Because after he left the Titans, it's not like he was really all that great afterwards. And then Malik Willis is used the same kind of sentiment. Is it the lack of development with Malik Willis, or is Malik Willis just not an NFL quarterback? I can't say one way or another what the coaching staff would have done for Will Levis, or, you know, if he would have been great or if he not would have been great. But I think one thing is true. I at least feel encouraged of what he can do under Brian Callahan, given Brian Callahan's history with quarterbacks. And that's, you know, I'm so sensitive of saying that because I don't want this to become new coaching staff, does everything right, new old coaching staff, a bunch of idiots, all of them. You know, that's because that's not the case. And it's really easy to convince ourselves of that. But at least given Brian Callahan's expertise, you feel encouraged about what Will Levis can become under him. Doug's on the line with a question for D-Mase. What's up, Doug?
Yes, this question's for Dr. Phil Mason. I want him to deal with this from the running back position. You know, all this talk about the wide receivers, nothing about the RBs. Come on, Dr. Phil Mason, talk these RBs off the ledge like, are we a part of this too?
Thanks for your call, Doug.
Are they still allowed to run the ball now that
are they still allowed to run the ball?
They're never going to run the ball, ever.
Are they allowed to participate now that Derrick Henry is no longer with the Titans? The running backs don't have to worry. I think this will be a two-back system. You know, I think it will be whoever has the hot hand, we're going to ride them. Not to say that the other guy is not going to get his carries, but we're going to ride this guy a little bit longer if he has the hot hand, and rightfully so. There's still a place in his offense. They need a running back. You know, Cincinnati, when Mixon was hurt, how much, you know, at times they struggled when they didn't have that guy in the backfield. A guy that imposes his will, or a guy that is good at run between the tackles and catching the ball out the backfield. When you don't have that, then you realize how important it is. So the running backs don't need to be worried. They're going to be featured in his offense. Brian Callahan is not coming in here and saying, listen, we're just throwing the ball. Out of 90 plays, we've thrown the ball 85 times. No, we're not going to do that. Some games we may defer to the pass a little bit more, but in order to set that up, we must have a running game. We got to have a running game, and I think that's why this dual running back situation, as they upgrade the offensive line, it will be critical in how the Titans passing game go. If they don't have a run game, they're not going to have a passing game. I'm telling y'all that right now. The passing game is going to be very difficult to go out and produce each and every week if they don't have a running game, whether it be one guy going crazy or both of them together, having good seasons. They must have a presence at the running back position in order to have the type of passing game they want to have. We believe Brian Callahan's a good offensive mind, but even a good offensive mind without a running game, there's only so much. Ask Andy Reid, why do you think this running back carousel, and they're trying to get the best running back, and they're going to run the ball no matter what, because they know that if they can get that running game going, it makes everything easier. Mahomes can go out and do it probably without a running game, but why even put him through that? It's easier when you have a running game, and I'm sure that's what Brian Callahan is telling their running backs. Y'all are not going to be forgotten in his offense.
Yeah.
We need y'all, because if we don't have y'all, it makes our passing game more difficult to go out and orchestrate each and every week.
It's going to look different.
Yeah, it's going to look different.
You're not handing
Absolutely.
the ball off 20, 25 times a game to Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
What I am interested to see is what is kind of the balance of the two running backs. What's going to be the role for Tajay Spears and for Tony Pollard? Who's going to get the ball more? Who's going to maybe get the ball out of the backfield a little bit more? I'm intrigued to see how that kind of pans out. More questions for D-Mase coming up next. We will hear from Brian Callahan at some point. That's all I got for you. We'll hear from him at some point. More questions for D-Mase coming up next. Tune into 94.9 The Fan today as the Nashville Sounds take on the Durham Bulls on the road. Pre-game at 5:20, first pitch at 5:35, with coverage also available on 94.9 The Fan app and at 949thefan.com. Sounds baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks Family Leisure and Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
You've heard me tell you about Dr. Lodge and his staff at Cool Springs MD for some time. This is D. Mason here. If you set out to lose weight, chances are it's not your first time setting a resolution to shed some extra pounds only to face disappointment. We've all been through it, people, where you set that resolution and you want to get to that goal weight, and then for whatever reason you cannot achieve it, and then you got to start right back over. So at Cool Springs MD, Dr. Lodge and his team understands the frustration of this cycle, and that is why they offer a different approach to weight loss, okay? A different one. Not like everybody else's. Their comprehensive weight loss program is led by Dr. Lodge and addresses the root cause of weight gain. With tailored nutrition, exercise, blood test supplements, and more, they will customize a program specific to you and only you. Connect with Dr. Lodge and CoolSpringsMD.com today to schedule your appointment for a personalized weight loss plan just for you. No one else but you. That's Cool Springs MD, where your weight loss journey becomes a success story.
Ask D-Mase. Get those questions in for D-Mase. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Call in with the questions. Text line is broken, or you can send them in on YouTube. You can find us at 1025 The Game. Ricky comments on the YouTube chat and says, I'm getting Bill Walsh vibes from Brian Callahan. Very poised and smart, but also builds people up.
Bill Walsh started with what team? The Bengals.
Yeah.
As a young assistant.
You're right.
Way back.
Interesting.
Prior to his 49er days.
Well, don't ask Steve Young that, because Steve Young got mad when he signed him and told him that Joe Montana was going. He was upset, and Joe Montana didn't leave, because that was the year Joe Montana was it? No, because Seifert was after him, so it was Bill Walsh, and he told him, he relayed to him, like, listen, he has a back issue. More than likely, he's trading him something. Steve gets there and it's like, Joe ain't going nowhere. Joe was a quarterback, I think, for the next 2 years or something like that.
He had to wait.
Yeah, so he had to wait his turn. So, yeah.
He was very glad to be out of Tampa Bay, though.
Oh, definitely. Oh, my goodness. Oh, man. That's where they wore paper bags over their heads. See, you don't remember those days.
I was subjected to a lot of Steve Young Tampa Bay games growing up in Orlando, and you're like, oh. Because they would black out the home games if they weren't sold out, which is most of the games back then.
Yeah, wasn't
at the big sombrero, they were so bad that they didn't sell out. It's a fun place to go see a game, but they were bad, and so you were hoping you got the best number one game. But if the Bucs were on the road, you got the Bucs.
That was such a dumb rule back then.
Yeah,
the games were blacked out in the local markets at the games, so that was so dumb.
I'm kind of glad they were, because then we didn't have to watch the home games.
Hey, if you were that bad where you didn't. Like, they blacked you out in your own city? Yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah, down bad. One commenter in the YouTube chat doesn't have the same ring as texter, but we'll rock with it.
Commenter.
Says, one commenter says, what was the 1999 wide receiver room like with the Titans, and what were the strengths of each receiver?
That 99 team, it was myself, Joey, Chris, Isaac, Kevin, Yancey. Carl wasn't on that team just yet, I don't believe. So it was us six. There may have been a seventh person. I'm not sure. But, yeah, those were the six guys. Myself, Dice, Joey, Chris, Isaac Bird, and Yancey. And we had a good receiver room. It was a good receiver room. But we all were competing. We all were competing for playing time. It had to be the most awkward for Kevin, because he was the youngest guy there. And, they drafted him in the first round to be, sort of the number one guy. Mm-hmm. And his career started first year, was pretty good for a rookie. And then he had set his eyes on that next season, which was the 98 season. And he did some good things in that season, too. So he was primed for a third year. But then he ended up, I think after the first or second game, which I think the first game, he had a pretty good game against Kansas City, if I'm not mistaken. And then he ends up getting hurt in practice. But our receiver room was great as far as, like, personalities. We had veteran guys, and we had younger guys. We had Chris and Yancey, who were the veteran guys. And then everybody else, myself, Joey, Isaac, and Dice, we were the young guys. So we had a good mix of veteran and young. So we got along, but we knew where we were competing. And then the next following year, I believe that's when they brought in Carl Pickens. And I think they end up releasing or trading Isaac. And they may have, let me see, 97, 8, 9. So I think 2000 or after the 2000 season is when they released Joey. But that 99 room was a cool room. Young, old, Chris was the speed down the field. Yancey was the savvy veteran that you can put in the slot, you can put on the outside. He was a crafty, great hands, and obviously Dice was sort of like the speed guy and big body guy. And then everybody else sort of fell in between. They were, they wanted Joey to be a starter. It just, for whatever reason, it didn't work out. And I was like that in-between guy, like slot guy, outside guy, return punch, return kickoff. So I was like a Swiss Army knife, a jack of all trades. So we all had our individual things that we can do well. But as a whole, the receiver room was a really good room. Really good room.
And I know that the after Tyler Boyd signing, a lot of the conversation has been, is this the best Titans receiving room of all time? If it's not this one, do you think it would be the 99 room?
I'm not going to say it was based upon your production. This group is better than the 99 group because, again, you only had 2 veteran guys. Now, Yancey was a handful. I mean, the dude can flat out play. Now, if he wouldn't have got injured, I think you would have saw the best of Yancey here, but he dealt with a lot of injuries. Yeah. And I think the foot injury, the foot injury, I think was the big one for him, if I recall with him. So we had and Chris was, he had some really good years early on. They have more production as a whole because these guys, before all coming together, they had played at least 5 NFL seasons or 4 NFL seasons, so you accumulated a lot of numbers. So as far as production, this group is better because they all
they have done.
Yeah, what they have done. But, the room of myself, Kevin, Justin, and Drew, that probably was the best room this franchise have had as far as production with this team. That room, because we had different, like Drew, everybody had sort of their niche and specialty. Drew was the big body guy. Drew had speed to him. It was like deceptive speed. Like if you didn't pay, Drew would run right by you if you weren't paying attention. But he was a big body guy we can throw it to a red zone. Tough as nails. Drew was a tough son of a gun, too. Surfer boy, but tough. And he probably was the most athletic of us all. And then you had Justin, who was a special teams guy, too, but he was tough. He can play the slot. You could put him outside. He was another speed guy down the field.
Yeah.
Dice, he was coming off the injury, so they were trying to work him back into the role. And then myself, again, it was the same. I was the consistent guy that they could move across the board. Still did a little punt return. I didn't do much because then they had other guys that could go out and do it. But we had a group of guys that all could do different things. But if you asked them, like if you asked, Drew to play in a slot, he could play in a slot. You don't really want him in there, but he can play it. Justin can play the slot outside. Dice can play inside, outside. Chris was the outside guy. So we had guys that can play multiple. Group. Yeah, it was a versatile.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much versatility you have with this group, but if you're talking about just numbers, yeah, this is the best group when you're talking numbers. This is the best group the Titans has ever had.
Appreciate all your questions for D-Mase. You can tune in to 94.9 The Fan this Sunday for coverage of the Goodyear 400 at Darlington Raceway. Coverage will begin at 1 p.m. with the race starting at 2. Coverage also available on the 94.9 The Fan app and at 949thefan.com. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, Titans head coach Brian Callahan is up at the podium reacting to day one of rookie minicamp. We send it over to him now.
And the key is to make sure you don't lose that confidence, because by the time you get to training camp, everything should start to settle. But it is a process, and it's not easy. And so there's patience on both sides, ours in terms of our evaluation, and on them knowing that it's going to come at some point. But as long as you're putting the work in, you have a chance to get to where you need to get to.
Appreciate you.
Good. All right, guys.
Thanks.
Get to hear from them since being drafted, since draft night, and after day one of rookie minicamp. One thing, as far as rookie minicamp is concerned, is you're not going to learn a lot about these guys. You're not going to learn what they're going to look like on Sundays. They're not wearing pads. They're not doing, scheme stuff. It's really like what Brian Callahan said yesterday. It's orientation. It's let's get you in the building. Let's get you acclimated with the coaches. Let's start to get a foundation of what we're going to be ramping up throughout the rest of OTAs and throughout the rest of training camp. It is the very beginning, and unless it's Traylon Burks not being able to finish day one of rookie minicamp, I don't know how many juicy stories you're really going to get out of it. But with that being said, what I think makes today really interesting is this is the first time, not just that we see the rookies, but this is the first time that we see this new coaching staff hands-on on the practice field with the rookies, and really for the first time ever. I think that's the most intriguing thing for me today throughout rookie minicamp, throughout OTAs, and especially throughout this training camp is this isn't just an orientation for the rookies. This is an orientation for the coaching staff as well.
Yeah, it is. It gives you an opportunity to, experience these players differently than what you have experienced them prior to this. Now, it's basically all rookies. I think there are like 5 veteran guys there, but the majority of these guys are rookies. So this is going to be a crash course into the NFL for these rookies. And some of the veteran guys that have been hurt or need some more developing, they bring those guys in as well. So this is an exciting time for the coaches. This is an exciting time for the rookies that are coming in, because now you get your first opportunity to truly get your hands on these guys, on the field, being able to coach football to them, being able to coach their specific positions with them, and see movements and all this other stuff. So I'm sure this is exciting for the coaches. And it's exciting as well as nerve-wracking and a bit of anxiety for the rookie guys that are coming in. So, but yeah, I'm just looking, what these players are going to say about their first experience on the field with the coaches. So that'll be interesting to hear.
We will hear from Devondre Sweat, who is up at the podium after day one of rookie minicamp. This is
Callahan, he said he was satisfied between the draft and now. I saw the video, you and Xavier Worthy and some of the guys in Texas, but what else?
Yeah, before I got here, me and the 11 guys that got drafted out of UT, hook 'em, just, But we all worked together just at the facility and just got it in.
You guys said that, I forget the exact words, but it was along the lines of where you wanted to prove people wrong, and there's stuff out there that you don't like. Is that really the sole purpose, the main thing that's driving?
Well, I'm not here to prove anything. I mean, I'm just it's a blessing to be here in this organization and just getting to come out here, compete with my teammates and being the best for the team.
How much of a challenge is it, Andre, to kind of hit I'm sure they have weight targets and so forth for you. You're a big guy, no
right.
doubt about that. How much of a challenge is that for you?
I mean, it's a challenge all the time, but right now, before anyone else asks, right now, me and my nutritionists and my coaches, we're looking to find that perfect weight for me to play at. So I don't know that perfect weight before y'all ask, but y'all see when y'all see, so.
Have you spent time with her yet, or is that part of?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Devondre, when it comes to Tracy Rocker, your initial thoughts on Trace, and also how do you feel like he can make you a better player?
He just always gonna want the best out of you. He gonna shoot you straight forward. I mean, he kind of remind me of my coach in college, Coach Bo. So I feel like me and him, we got a great relationship, and I can't wait to play for him. It's awesome.
When you take the field for the first time since, I guess, last season, is there a rust you have to knock out? You feel like you are in a good place here on May the 10th?
That's anyone when you haven't played football for a minute. I mean, of course you're going to come out, got a little rust, but once you're going, So, yeah, I think that's everyone. Everyone going to come out with a little rust, so.
Rocker was part of that group that met with you down in your hometown.
Mm-hmm.
How different, or is he any different from that day to now he's got you on the grass?
Same person. And that's what makes me like him even more. He is the same person, and he don't switch. He don't switch or try to play side game. It's just straightforward, this me. So that's what I respect about him.
You heard from Jeffrey Simmons yet? And what, if you have, what's he told you?
Yeah, I actually have. We talked a bit. All he said was, let's do it. Let's get to work and let's do it. So I'm kind of excited to play with him. Then I got my former teammate Coburn. So pretty exciting.
You seem to get low pretty comfortably, but it didn't seem like anything out there that we watched, so a layman's eye was hard. Like, what's hard for you? What do you feel like you need to work on in your game?
I mean, I have a lot to work on. I mean, I'm not a perfect person. No one here is perfect. You know what I mean? It's a lot of stuff I got to work on. I just come out here every day, just get better at my craft, and just take it day by day.
What are some of those specific areas you want to work on?
Just everything about my game, I mean, I got a veteran next to me, so I just can't wait to get with him and learn from him.
What, if anything, maybe surprised you or was different about today than maybe you've seen in college?
What surprised me? Nothing, really. I mean, I've been doing this all my life playing ball, so just being a part of an organization like this at the next level is pretty amazing. And just being in Nashville, being a Titan, so.
You mentioned a nutritionist earlier and working with the diet. Are there any foods that maybe you weren't eating before that you are now? I got it.
Vice versa?
Or vice versa, things you had to cut out that you didn't? Yeah.
I mean, of course, when you go get on the plane, you got to cut certain stuff out. So 100%, I'm going to cut certain stuff out and stuff like that, so.
What's out?
Healthy food.
What's out? What's in?
Come to like, or
say that one more time.
Is there a healthy food that you've come to enjoy through this?
I mean, whatever to make me a better player and to think about my life long from here. You know what I mean? Think about my healthy life. So that's kind of my plan. So.
Watch you on the bag drills and the footwork and stuff like that. At the Senior Bowl, I remember you had said that you played basketball before, but a guy your size that had a feet like that, how much does basketball weigh into it?
It weigh in a lot. I mean, I'm a hooper too, so if anybody want to get on that court, just let me know.
Can you dunk the basketball?
Oh yeah. Yes, I can.
When's the last time you dunked it?
Senior year of high school.
There's a big debate going on now on social media that some NBA and NFL guys are involved in. Easier for NFL guys to play basketball or for basketball guys to play in the NFL?
Basketball players can't play NFL. I'm too soft.
What about your game, Devondre, do you take the most pride in? What about your game do you take the most pride in? It could be fundamentals, it could be technique, anything.
What I take the most pride in is just winning. Just coming out here, compete with the best of the best and creating a team to win. And I just want to do whatever it takes for this team to win, and that's why I'm here.
How much have you gotten to know JC? I know it's early, but what have your early conversations been like with him? How much you guys feel like you're kind of
Yeah, that's my dog, man. I know he's a Bama guy. I'm a UT guy. I mean, we got the best of them, but You know, that's my dog, though. It's all love, man. He's a great person, 100% great person, and we've been building a relationship over text when we both got drafted, so it's awesome to get to know a Bama guy.
You go one-on-one against him at some point?
I mean, we out here to compete, you know. If that happens, it happens, but.
Good.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank y'all.
Hey, how many times?
Hey, Devondre, do you eat strawberries?
How much chicken do you eat? How much asparagus do you eat? Did you add asparagus to your recipe? To your meal?
What about the fried Oreos at the fair?
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you got to have that involved.
Keep Devondre Sweat away from the fair. He doesn't need to go to that one truck set up at the fair that's like, bring us whatever you want us to deep fry. We got deep fried butter. But
I'll be at that truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not deep fried butter, but I'm just straight up just gonna say this right now. Devondre Sweat, his personality, I have been attracted to it.
I love his personality.
It's
he has
great.
a great personality.
He's gonna be fun.
Great personality.
He's going to be a fun one to follow. Yeah. I do think that it was. They've obviously done their work, their media work. Robbie Bourne does a great job. And look, before anybody asks, yes, I'm working with a nutritionist. And I know it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, and I know that he knew that those questions were going to come, but good.
Yeah.
If your weight's been a concern, then
Give
that's
the people
what
they want.
Be doing.
Yeah, so the Titans are going to do everything in their power to make sure that Sweat has what he needs to stay on the path that I'm sure he wants as a player, and definitely the organization wants him to be at as a player. So it's going to be an ebb and flow. Hopefully this won't be a, sweat watch weight day, or coming up like, how much weight did he lose today, or how much did he gain back? No, just
now envisioning the wrestlers who have to put all the clothes on and start running around the gym and not eat anything to try to sweat until you can get the weight, and then you eat back.
Sweatsuit Sunday.
Yeah, sweatsuit Sunday. That's what it's going to be. So hopefully it doesn't become that, but only he can control whether people continue to talk about his weight or not. He has to understand, which I know he does. This is your livelihood now. Nobody's holding your hand. Nobody's walking you to class. Nobody's calling, at 6:30 to make sure you're up, or nobody's telling one of the coaches, quality control coach, hey, go make sure Sweat's in class, or go make sure this guy's. No, that's no more. No more. They're paying you too much damn money to be checking behind you like that. But they are going to give you the tools to hopefully be successful. That I do know. So they're going to set up things for Sweat to be successful, and it's up to him whether he, takes that and uses it or not. It's all up to him. It seems like the type of attitude he has, it seems like he's ready to get down to business, and hopefully. I'm not saying losing weight is easy, because I'm not 347 pounds or 57 pounds.
He's
so
not
either. Yeah, he's probably bigger than that. So I'm not going to say losing weight is easy, but it's going to. It can get done if you want it to get done.
And I know every player is driven by, motivated by all different things. Like we always hear coaches say, or players say, like, what's your why? Why do you want to be here? We've talked about that with Traylon. Like, what's your want? What do you want to be here? What are you playing for? Where's that dog? We heard Devondre Sweat say, look, I'm not trying to prove anyone wrong. Like, I'm just trying to come out here and compete. What do you make of that?
Well, he can't worry about, listen, everybody has what motivates you. What that's what,
Some guys it is proving people wrong.
I love, asking, young guys, why are you playing this game? What motivates you? What is your why? Because when everything is going well or everything is going bad, you got to always be able to go back to that why. Why am I playing this game? Okay, now I know why I'm playing this game. So now I need to clear myself and get to that why. So why? What is his why for playing this game? I'm not too bent out of shape because he says he's not out there to prove anyone, and maybe that is indeed the case. But every player is different. Some guys have that chip on their shoulder. They want to prove somebody wrong. Well, he was a top 30-something pick. So what is going to be his motivation? Because if you have nothing, then what is your why? Because sometimes you don't have anything. Like, I can't look and say, well, they're doubting me. Or I can't look and say, well, they want to replace me or this and that. If you don't have any of that, then what is your why for playing? You know, that's what he always needs to go back to. He doesn't need to worry about, because it's going to be out there regardless. That stuff will be out there regardless. But once that stuff's gone, once you got yourself where you're supposed, what's your why now? Because you don't have anything else to complain about because everybody's sort of backed off because you did what you said you were going to do, which I believe he will. Stay underweight, be ready to go. I like him saying, just watch and see. Just wait and see. Don't worry about it. I ain't got to talk up. Just wait and see me on the field. Basically what he was saying. I don't know my ideal weight, but watch me on the field and you will tell what it is. Or, I could be 350 and be playing like a monster, or I could be 355 and be playing like a monster. Yeah. You may not think that's an ideal weight, but I think it is, or the coaching staff think it is. So, when you've done that as a player, meaning Sweat, now what is your why? I want to know the why. Care about all that other stuff, because that's going to come and go. People doubting you is going to come and go. Why are you playing this game? It's not because people are doubting you. That's not why you're playing this game. Why are you playing this game? Okay, well, go back to that every time. You may not need any other reason.
It's the Nick Saban School of Manufacturing bulletin board material.
Yeah.
They're counting us out. Literally, no one's counting you out, Nick.
Nobody doubted
Literally,
y'all.
not a single
They picked you to win a
person
championship.
is doubting you. No one's doubting you. Okay, coming up next. Well, speaking of Nick Saban, speaking of college sports, got a pretty big ball game going down at the Hawk tonight. And what does this mean for Vanderbilt? That it's not even just what does this mean for Vanderbilt baseball in terms of making the NCAA tournament and seeding in the NCAA tournament, but Tennessee is coming to town. What does that mean even beyond that? I want to get Willy's perspective on that. Mitch Light will join us as well. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase were brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Tune into 102.5 The Game today as Vanderbilt baseball takes on Tennessee with pregame at 5:45 p.m. and first pitch at 6. Vanderbilt baseball brought to you by Smoky Mountain Tops, your countertop experts. Visit SmokyMountainTops.com. And speaking of that game, Mitch Light of The Athletic joins us now to break it all down. Now, Mitch, first of all, it was great to see you at the Vandy game on Tuesday night. It was great to see you actually face-to-face. We get to talk so much on the phone, but actually got to see each other in person. This is a question for both you and Willy. And I know that once we get to this point of the season, we're looking ahead to the NCAA tournament. We're looking ahead to seeding, of potentially being a host. So obviously this weekend and next weekend and every single game is important for Vanderbilt baseball in those terms. But also, how important is it for Vanderbilt baseball, baseball's been the thing, to beat Tennessee baseball?
I'll start first. Obviously, it's important. I'd say it's more important now. Put aside the stakes of the game, I'd say it's more important now because of Tennessee's recent success against Vanderbilt. Is it 7 straight, 2 sweeps, plus a win in the SEC tournament? I think if both teams are playing well and are both ranked, and both, obviously Vanderbilt's not ranked right now, both headed to the tournament, it doesn't, each team wants to beat the other team, but both schools have, at this point where their programs are, have higher goals. But this year, with the way Vanderbilt's struggling and the recent struggles against Tennessee, I think it makes it more important, adds more pressure. This would be a high-pressure series no matter what, because of where Vanderbilt is right now. But the fact that it's Tennessee adds to that.
I would concur with Mitch, and I would also say that in the new world that we live in, that is now in its second real year, and people are just now adapting. Tennessee, like most of their teams, has dove into transfer portal, NIL, the mix of all of it. I think Tim Corbin really does cherish the traditional model of recruit and develop people, keep it intact, but it's harder and harder to do. We talked about John Calipari at Kentucky. He loved the one and done. He loves having guys that go on to the NBA, but it's becoming harder to win doing it that way because college athletes are older and you have the ability to shuffle your roster a lot from year to year. I think Tim Corbin loves the continuity. I think Tennessee has embraced the modern game where it's a lot more fluid. There's a lot more winners and losers on your enormous fall roster, right? You bring everybody in and you see who the best is. I mean, there's different ways of going about it, but I think it's two very distinct, different models right now, and I think that's where the battle is going, and I think that's part of the backdrop when these two teams play, especially when they're recruiting a lot of the same kids in the state. Fair to say, Mitch?
I will say real quick, this Tennessee, especially the lineup, is most of it's homegrown. Tennessee has done a good job in the portal last couple of years. Obviously, Billy Amick, the third baseman, the big power hitter from Clemson. They've had great success bringing in some arms in the portal. Chase Dollander to the prime example there. But, guys like Christian Moore, Blake Burke, Kavaris Tears, they've done a good job developing their own bats, too, at Tennessee.
Yeah. I mean, and you have to have that. Like, you can't have a roster full of all transfers. You can't succeed that way, but it's a blend. And I think that isn't it fair to say, Mitch, that Tennessee, for years before Vitello got there, was losing most of the key battles. If Vanderbilt and Tennessee were going after the same kid, Vanderbilt was getting that kid because they had been winning and Tennessee was down.
No doubt about that.
Tougher now.
No doubt about that.
Which I think even adds to all of the layers that we're going to see with this series coming up this weekend. Mitch Light is with us, The Athletic. Mitch, do you think that Tim Corbin's style of building a roster can still win championships in this era?
Yeah, I do. And Corb's is it 4? I think he had 4 transfers this year. It's not like he's totally turned his back on the transfer. They were very in it with Paul Skeens a couple years ago. But I don't know why anyone, Caroline, would choose LSU. But that's another topic.
Who wants to win championships?
And Brandon Montgomery. Yeah,
what was
the
he thinking?
outfielder from Texas A&M. Was visited Vanderbilt as well. So they have clearly Jaden Davis, starting second baseman, who unfortunately got hit in the face by a pitch a couple weeks ago and is out, was a transfer from Sanford and is Vanderbilt's leading hitter in SEC play. But to your point, to your question, Caroline, yes, people are going to look at this Vanderbilt team and the relative struggles this year and say they can't win this way. Tim Corbin, this and that, and this sounds like an excuse, and you can take it as an excuse, but it's a combination of a lot of factors. You look back to the recruiting class from 2 years ago, the guys that would be juniors this year. There were 3 hitters, very good hitters in that prospects who they thought they could get 1 or 2 definitely through the draft. I'm not talking about like the Andrew Jones top 5 picks who no shot of getting. These are like fringe first rounders, second, third rounders. And 3 guys they thought they had a chance of getting through all signed. So they were kind of left with a roster with some holes there. And they've had some key injuries. So, it's a little bit of everything. Again, not trying to make an excuse. Tim Corbin does not need me to make any excuses for him. And a couple guys like Davis Diaz and Jack Bolger, who were big recruits and got through, they've had fine college careers, but they haven't been the stars that we've seen from Vanderbilt. So I don't think that, the game, the model has passed Vanderbilt by any stretch.
And you pointed out, Mitch, you feel like there is some adapting, right? I think I read something earlier this year that some of what they do NIL-wise is across the board to the roster. Did I read that right? There's sort of a base level that they're getting a lot of their players, and then obviously there's other opportunities for any individual, right?
Yeah, and they got some of their current freshmen right now who are kind of in that same area of the guys I mentioned a couple years ago. They were able to get them through because of some NIL opportunities. So we'll see going forward, if that helps them build the roster some more. So it just college baseball, and you guys, I know, Caroline, you love the sports. It's a unique sport. The way you build your roster, the way you draft, you sign guys out of high school, you sign 15 guys, and the better you recruit, the more it could hurt your recruiting class because you lose those guys to the MLB draft. So it's unique. It's different from all the other sports. Teams don't, and especially with the portal, as we've talked about, the rosters, there's so much change from year over year. You see a team like Georgia this year, didn't make the field last year, the regional last year. New coach, we hit the portal very hard. Great lineup, and they beat South Carolina last night. They're heading to a national seed. So there's quick turnarounds in college baseball.
All right, so Mitch, let's look at this weekend's matchup. Tennessee comes in at number 1. They're playing really well. Vanderbilt has been a much better team at home than on the road, which seems to be a trend right now, especially within the league. Only the elite teams able to win on the road. That is a big thing. If I'm the committee, I'm looking at for sure. So what about this matchup? How do these two teams go down?
One stat that really intrigued me as I dove in looking at these numbers. You think Tennessee, the first thing you think of is their lineup, and rightfully so. But they're like second or third in the SEC in ERA. So I was looking at they're in SEC play. This shocked me. They've allowed more hits than innings pitched as a staff. They don't have the elite frontline starter. Like even Drew Beam, who had a great freshman year 2 years ago, has given up more hits than innings in the league. One thing they do, though, they don't walk anyone. League low 59 walks, which is huge. So, you hear coaches say, you throw strikes, you got a chance. So this Tennessee team might not – I'm not saying they don't have good pitching. They do, but they might not blow you away with pure stuff, but they don't walk anyone. And the problem for Vanderbilt is in SEC play, they're second to last in walks. So we know they're trouble hitting the balls. They hit a lot of doubles. They don't hit a lot of home runs, and they don't walk a lot. So that's something to watch this weekend. Can Vanderbilt be more patient at the plate? But the problem is showing patience at the plate, you can be down 0-2 because these guys throw strikes. But as far as the matchup, obviously Vanderbilt needs to keep Tennessee's lineup in check. It's Christian Moore. Everyone's talking about Charlie Condon's having an amazing season. If you look at SEC-only stats, Christian Moore is not far behind. I think he might actually be leading the league in hitting. So that's something to watch. And another thing I'll say, keep rambling on, is Vanderbilt's good players need to play well. Bryce Cunningham tonight and Carter Holton are very, very talented pitchers who have pitched better at home. At their best, they're good enough to limit this Tennessee team to 2 or 3 innings, 2 or 3 runs. But when they're not at their best, which we saw Cunningham last week and Holton last week, they don't find the strike zone, they give up the 3-run homer, they're not good enough. So that to me is the key. Can Vanderbilt's frontline starters pitch well?
How do you think this Tennessee lineup matches up with the last couple of years when they were, getting a lot of a lot of accolades, but these are a lot of different guys. Like already some of the hitters that they've had the last couple of years have made it to the big leagues, right? I just saw another one the other night. The kid, he's now playing for Colorado. Jordan Beck just got called up. Fleming has already got up. Trey Lipscomb. Trey Lipscomb has already made it to the bigs. I mean, there's some of these guys have really ascended quick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this time's better. It might have more depth, and it's dangerous. This is been a ton of home runs this year. Been a ton of home runs the last few years. But look at their lineup. They've got 5 guys with at least 14 home runs in their lineup. So there's no easy outs. Every starter pretty much, except for Hunter Ensley, is hitting over 310. So there's just a lot of depth. There's no let up in that lineup. The one thing I will say, though, is they have not, and I would say with the elite teams, and this is the number 1 team in the country, so you're trying to poke holes. Their offense hasn't been exactly on fire of late. The last 2 games of the Missouri series, they scored 3 runs. Lipscomb, they score 6 runs, they lose that game. They only scored 6 runs against Queens College the other day. Florida held them in check and won a couple games. So, maybe this is a breakout. I think a lot of it's – I've noticed this year going to the Hawk a lot. To me, the wind has been more of a factor than in recent years. I'm not I don't know. Is it because of the stadium, the football stadium construction? I don't think so. But I've seen some games this year where there's been more wind-aided home runs than ever. So it seems like a nice day today. I don't know what the wind's going to be, but if you're Vanderbilt, you want to see those flags blowing in, not out tonight.
Well, they call Jordan Beck by his government name, Mike Concho.
Mike Concho, yes. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
All right, this is I don't want to strike a chord with Tennessee fans here, but remember 2 years ago there was the whole bat checking thing. Tennessee came in and got a very statement-making 3-game sweep at the Hawk, and they checked the bats and all of that stuff. You just alluded to it, Mitch. Across the board, I don't know about college baseball as a whole, but definitely SEC, I'm seeing some very live bats, a lot of home runs. I know the hitters are bigger, stronger, all of that stuff, but I just wonder if the bat issue in college baseball, remember when Vanderbilt won it a decade ago in 2014, they had it. It was not just the bats, but the ball. Balls weren't going out at all. It made for a very different game than we're seeing today. Today's game is resembling a little more than the college game that I was involved in the 90s before they had any checks on the bats, and the bat was just extremely lively. So where are they in all of that?
Yeah, I don't know the specifics. I think it's as much the ball as it is the bat with the seams in recent years. I think it's very difficult to police the bats. I don't want to relitigate all that from a couple years ago because I don't want to speak out of turn because I really don't know what the deal is there. But I think it's the ball as well. And I know there's some people that really love the sport too, like Aaron Fitt, the guys at D1 Baseball. If you listen to their podcast, he'll talk about it a lot. It's like he doesn't like it. A lot of people don't like this. Now, some people do love it, think it's great. I like all sorts of baseball,
right?
But I will say that the baseball from the mid-2010s, when Vanderbilt won the College World Series in 2014, that was not the most entertaining. You go back and you look at the College World Series and where some of those outfielders were positioned, like in center field, seems like 20 yards beyond the infield. I think they need to find a happy medium. Like last night's game, I watched a decent amount of South Carolina and Georgia. Well, yeah, it's fun to watch those guys, but do you want to see a 14-10 game?
I don't.
On Friday?
I'm just going to raise my hand. I don't.
Right.
And I didn't like pitching in those games back in the day either. But I also don't think that is a great brand of baseball.
I agree, and that's supposedly the Friday night game. I know it's Thursday night, but when you've got your better pitching, fine on a Sunday. We know the staffs. Are depleted. You might have some guys out there, and you see some wild scores on Sunday. But give me like a 6-4 game on a Friday night. So I think the sport is growing, the popularity, all that. But I do think they need to find a happy medium with the home runs.
I did start a game at the old McGugan Field pre-Hawk as the starting pitcher against South Carolina. We lost 21-1.
Oh.
I took the L.
It was probably because the reliever, right?
I just didn't get any run support. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah.
Willy walked out. Guys, you give me 1 run, I'm going to get you this W today. So
That didn't go well.
Willie's doing his part, okay?
I still have nightmares about that game.
He only gave up 3 touchdowns.
I only gave up about 7 of the runs, okay? But I was out of there in the second inning.
Only 1 touchdown. Last one from me, Mitch. Mitch Light from The Athletic is with us. And I don't want to upset the Vanderbilt fans in the room, but let's be honest. When Vanderbilt hosts Tennessee, a big majority of the stadium is orange. This past season, when Vanderbilt hosted Tennessee basketball, a big portion of Memorial Coliseum was orange. Is there a different feeling when it comes to baseball, the sport that just, it's been Vanderbilt. It's been Vanderbilt's thing. Is there a different sentiment toward making sure that the hawk is not predominantly orange?
yeah, well, I think it's the logistics. First of all, like the Hawkins Field is sold out for season tickets on the infield.
Yeah.
So it's not like in football and basketball, there are just tons of tickets out there for the taking. Now, there'll definitely be some Tennessee fans there. So in the infield, They want to, they got friends, you can go online, you can buy them. But it's not like someone could just say, I want to buy 10 tickets in the infield. Now, the outfield, I don't know what the season ticket sales in the outfield are. I know they sell some. I would suspect there'll be a good portion of Tennessee fans in the outfield. But as long as like a huge majority of Vanderbilt fans didn't sell their season tickets, there'll still be, I think a majority of Vanderbilt fans inside in the infield. But it's definitely changed in a few years. Willy, 10 years ago, you go to a Vanderbilt Tennessee baseball game, and it was like put it this way: there would be more LSU fans at a Vanderbilt LSU baseball game than a Vanderbilt Tennessee, than Tennessee fans at a Vanderbilt Tennessee game.
I know of at least one Tennessee fan that will be there for whatever that's worth. Mitch Light from The Athletic. Mitch, appreciate you for stopping by. Enjoy the games this weekend. Have a great weekend, and we will catch up with you soon.
All right. Take care. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, Mitch. Mitch Light from The Athletic. Willy, will you make it to any games this weekend?
Yes.
Awesome.
I will be at least
It'll be
one
fun.
of them. Yeah.
It'll be a blast.
I will be paying close attention.
I hope you have more fun at your Tennessee series than I had at the LSU Tennessee series. That wasn't fun. All right, let's take it to the bank. Coming up next, Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Comes the money.
And you can take that to the bank.
Here comes the money.
It is now time to take it to the bank, presented by F&M Bank. All right, Nick, let's do a quick recap before we get to our picks this week.
Yes, so Caroline's at the top at 47, Willy at 44 in second, myself at 26, and D-Mase at 15. Last week was a odd week for some people. Myself had a fat 0, as with D-Mase had a fat 0 as well. Willy had 2 out of 3, so Braves to win the series and Acuna get a home run and Magic to win. Did not happen for the Braves, but 2 of those happened, so there's 7.
Yeah. Magic to win Game 6 to send it to a Game 7.
Correct.
To clarify.
And for Caroline,
nailed that one.
There you go. Caroline had
Braves got swept, however. That's
what I said.
I jinxed the Braves. I was not trying to jinx the Braves, Jared. I promise, Chase. I wasn't trying to do that.
Yeah, you are. Yes, you knew what you were doing.
As for Caroline, she had the Cardinals to win the first game of that series.
And they did.
And they did.
They won no other games in that series, but they won that one.
A 3-hour rain delay, and they had 1 strike, and they struck out, and they lost. So there's that. She also had Kiefer Sherwood to score a goal. That did not happen.
Did not happen.
Had the Texas A&M Aggies, though, winning their series.
And that did not happen.
LSU last week, yeah. 2 out of
LSU
3?
won that series.
Really?
Yeah, they did.
Oh,
Hedged my happiness there.
I misread that then. So then,
well, no, actually, wait, I
so
take it back.
does that put me in the lead?
It puts you as a tie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
That
right.
takes away points.
But Caroline's very happy, though,
so
because
Hedged
LSU
my
won.
happiness on that
44 at the top, and then D-Mace and I are fighting for the bottom.
All right.
Yeah.
D-Mace, do you want me to read off yours? Or
Nah, not really.
D-Mace.
Why not?
I'm
Just,
I'm letting y'all,
Okay.
because
Here
I
we
was
go.
so. I just dominated so much. I'm just letting y'all. So.
He had the Leafs to win.
You did not dominate.
happen.
I won last
Had
time.
Novak
But I
to
was
get a goal. Did
dominating,
not
so I just
happen.
You were
thought,
dominating.
And had
You didn't win.
had Saros
I'm letting y'all- I'm
not
letting y'all
let up
do y'all
more than
thing.
1 goal, and that did not happen either. So fat 0 for there. But
Damn, Saros.
As for that, Willy, you start us off. Let's have a little shake up here.
Before we take it to the bank, I gotta let y'all know that it's presented by F&M Bank. F&M Bank, banking made easy on purpose, less worry, more living. F&M Bank. Visit one of their 20 locations throughout Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky, or online at myfmbank.com.
All right,
Yours, Willy.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the Pacers in Game 3. I know they're talking a lot about Brunson here. I feel like he's going to try to play. He's clearly dealing with the foot issue that obviously he overcame and had a great down the stretch at Madison Square Garden. If you want some fun TV, watch that game tonight. If you're just a casual sports fan, you're like, I'm not really into the NBA, you're just looking for something, I'm telling you, this will be fun. Indiana is going to be going crazy. The Knicks, remember the Reggie Miller, all that stuff. They hate the Knicks. They hate them. I think the Pacers are going to take Game 3. I will take the Pacers minus the 7.5.
Oh, my.
I'll take the Pacers minus the 7.5. And it's fun when the Knicks are in because that place at Madison Square Garden is just a great venue to watch sports. I'll throw a little baseball in there as well, and I will take, let's see, Jared Jones, young up-and-coming star. If you haven't watched him pitch, Paul Skeens is pitching tomorrow. But Jared Jones already has been putting up huge K marks. They kind of have a fun little back and forth going.
Yeah.
That's going to be a fun duo to watch. If you're a Pirates fan, it's like you got a little something to be excited about. I'll say over 8.5 strikeouts tonight. He's been racking up the Ks.
Wow.
He pitches against the Cubs tonight. I think Jones is going to keep doing his thing. At least I hope so. He's on my fantasy team. I probably just jinxed it. Probably just jinxed it right there.
What a weekend for Pirates fans.
Caroline?
All right, I am going to take the Oilers to win tonight. Game 2 in Vancouver. They've got to have a bad taste in their mouth after losing 5-4 in Game 1. So I'm going to take Edmonton to win this one. I'm also going to take Christian Moore with at least 1 home run in this series.
Okay. Any other? You good?
I think I'm good.
Okay. D-Mace.
Oh, boy. I had the Edmonton and Vancouver game as well. I had Edmonton winning. Either Hyman or McDavid gets a goal. I have the Sparks beating the Mercury. And then I got Minnesota.
WNBA. This is awesome.
Then I got Minnesota beating Denver, going up 3-0, and Anthony Edwards scoring 28 or more points.
Starting to get the hype as a budding superstar. Anthony Edwards. It's really, it's like.
I'm hearing the MJ comparisons at this point.
Oh, it's there.
It's starting to happen.
As for myself, I'll be taking the Nova Knicks to win tonight. I know that sounds kind of odd to say, but yes, the Knicks are going to upset the game 3 to go up 3-0. Also have Paul Skeens on the docket.
Love
7
it.
strikeouts, less than 5 hits.
Ooh,
Yes,
I like
there's
it.
that. And last one I have, it's Padres versus Dodgers. Mookie Betts, 8 or more hits in the series.
And I got one more. One
Okay.
more. This is a bonus.
How many we got? Like 6?
UFL, the Stallions will beat the Blackhawks. Both one team is 6-0, the Stallions, 5-1 Blackhawks. I got the Stallions to remain undefeated.
Can the
I've been
Blackhawks
watching them
play
too,
without
so-
skates?
For D-Mase.
Huh?
Desperation.
Can the Blackhawks play without
It
skates?
is desperation. You're absolutely right. I'm
I'll
not going to deny
add
it.
one more. If D-Mase could add one more, I'll add one more. Give me LSU to win the SEC softball tournament. Just upset number 1 seed Tennessee yesterday. That's going to do it for us today. Happy Mother's Day weekend to all of your mothers out there. Hug them good, hug them tight. We'll be back Monday at 11 a.m.
Be love on your people. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, and have a wonderful and safe weekend. Peace.